ensures that the stories endure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we're committed to preserving the voices that shape our community. We know people have short memories, and as long as this Black Talk radio station is on the air, we will not let Altadena be forgotten. We are honored to announce that the Altadena Historical Society will officially archive our recent town hall alongside every episode of Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr. This is the show of record, the definitive source for tracking Altadena's roots, resilience, recovery, and reunion. These stories will now live on for students, scholars, researchers, and journalists seeking truth and legacy in the months and years to come. Because history isn't just made, it's honored, it's recorded, and it's passed forward. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
Live from historic Leimert Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me. Back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley, and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavismiley.show.com. That's thetavismiley.show.com, or wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today in our second hour.
What kind of conversation did you have with Tyre Nichols' family when they left today?
We spoke to them briefly. Obviously, they were devastated. I think you could imagine that they would be devastated. I think they were outraged, and I think we can understand why they'd be outraged by this result, given the evidence. They quite understandably decided that they needed to go home and process all this, and we're going to give them that respect and respect their privacy.
What sort of message does this give to specifically the Memphis Police Department, who just got done with this pattern and practice investigation and really doesn't have to grapple with the consequences of that either?
Right. So it's important to note that, you know, there have been guilty verdicts over on the federal side. I'm not going to speculate about what will happen over on the federal side, but it's not like there have been no consequences whatsoever from the tragic killing of Tyre Nichols. I personally think that if we're going to make any sense of this tragedy, if we're going to have any silver lining from this dark cloud of both the event itself and, in my view, today's verdict, it has to be that we need to reaffirm our commitment to police reform and to doing what we need to do to make sure that tragedies like this don't happen again. And I remain committed to that. I'm sure the city of Memphis remains committed to that, and we're not giving up on that.
That was the voice of Steve Mulroy, Shelby County District Attorney. Memphis sits, of course, in Shelby County. 3 ex-Memphis police officers were found not guilty of state charges in the fatal beating of Tyre Nichols. Interestingly, in this case, the defendants were all black, the judge was black, and the jury all white. a conversation with historian and pastor Dr. Robert Turner on this tragic verdict. We will also discuss his mission to save black history and the Blacksonian, as we call it, the Blacksonian Museum, which Donald Trump has targeted. We'll do all of that in our second hour. But then, in our third hour, it's a career conversation with hitmaker Johnny Gill, who comes in studio today in hour 3. What a catalog. New Edition and all those hits. LSG, remember that, Miles? Levert, Sweat, Gill. And, of course, his solo hits. And I'm going all the way back to Perfect Combination with Stacey Lattisaw. It's going to be a great hour in our third hour today. We're going to need it after this second hour today. Talking about this Memphis case, we'll need Johnny Gill to rescue us. In our third hour, should be a great conversation when Johnny Gill comes in studio. But in this first hour, let's talk politics when we come forward with our regular contributor, the National Affairs Correspondent for The Nation magazine, John Nichols. So much to cover with John Nichols. I, of course, want to get John's take. We'll spend the second hour talking about it in more detail. But want to commence with John Nichols' take on this police case in Memphis, this verdict. We'll certainly get his thoughts on some new Trump news. There's always Trump news right every 2 minutes. And some other issues we want to cover with John Nichols. Delighted always to be in dialogue with him. We'll commence that conversation when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
That I would do anything and everything for you. I lose all self-control with you. 'Cause I can't help myself. You're like nobody else. What can I do?
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Can you dig it? Come on!
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
The Comedy Connection series featuring KBLA's Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, and the alpha male of comedy, Ray Grady. We're going to transform relationship disasters into stand-up material live at Inglewood's Miracle Theater on May 31st at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. My clinical team will disclose all of your dating woes, while the alpha male of comedy, Ray Grady, has hand-selected supremely talented comedians to roast Test all of our tragic relationship choices. I dare you to bring your ex's phone number because Ray, he's going to text it live, and the crowd will be sourcing emojis. Tickets are moving swiftly, so don't hesitate to grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before I diagnose your dating history as a pre-existing condition.
KBLA Talk 1580 and the California Black Chamber of Commerce invite you to the Small Business Development Workshop, How to Do Business with California Government, on Thursday, May 15th at Victory Park in Pasadena, 2575 Paloma Street. Get certified and register as a new bidder. Sell products and services to the state. Learn about pre-bid events and more, and it's all free. All you have to do is sign up at www.calbcc.org. That's www.calbcc.org. Registration for the Small Business Development Workshop, How to Do Business with California Government, begins at 9 a.m. and the workshop concludes at 1 p.m. on Thursday, May 15th at Victory Park in Pasadena, 2575 Paloma Street. This is a community call to action from the California Black Chamber of Commerce and KBLA Talk 1580. And the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
Two hearts together, we're a harmony so right. Two sparks united, we're a fire burning bright.
For the truth, always brand new. Right from the jump, we had a hunch that we had everything.
Perfect combination. Love plus you and me. A perfect combination. We couldn't ask for any better.
Remember that one? That's all the way back to the start of Johnny's career with Stacey Lattisaw. Two kids in Washington, D.C. got together and made a hit, and the rest, as they say, is history. Johnny Gill today in our third hour. I look forward to that. There's breaking news already, and I've even heard John Nichols' voice as yet. The white smoke just came out of the Vatican. For you Catholics, you know what that means. Literally, 8 minutes ago now? White smoke came out of the Vatican. So the Papal Conclave has elected a new pope, and the white smoke, once again, has risen from the Sistine Chapel. I was just saying to my team here, I am not Catholic, but I love the ritual. I love the ritual, the way they do these things. Earlier this morning, there was black smoke, and now there is white smoke. Again, that indicates that they have elected a new pope. The identity will be announced shortly, but it's fascinating. The last time around, as I recall, it took a little longer than this. As I recall, last time, John Nichols, I've been to the Vatican a few times, had the honor at one point in my career to sit for a meeting, an interview, in fact, with Pope John Paul II. There I was with Quincy Jones and Bono. Had no business being there, but I went anyway. They pulled me in and had the honor to actually sit with Pope John Paul II, so I know what it's like to be inside that space, but not inside of a conclave. But again, the white smoke has risen from the Sistine Chapel. There is a new pope. The announcement coming shortly. John Nichols, what say you, sir?
Well, it's a big deal. Look, the Pope who passed, Pope Francis, was obviously a great religious leader, and that is part of the job of a pope. But he was also a great moral leader on the global stage. It's important to remember that Pope Francis raised economic and social and racial justice issues to really a very central point in the church's message. There's the big picture. His economic messages were really challenges to billionaire capitalism and messages about the importance of standing up to an out-of-control capitalism that didn't care for the vast majority of the people on the planet. And then there were the more targeted messages from Pope Francis, the fact that every night for the better part of 2 years, he called the Catholic congregation in Gaza and he spoke to people in Gaza, Muslims, Christians, who were on the ground there about the trauma that they've been experiencing, the horror that they've been experiencing. And so this was a remarkable pope who had huge political significance. Now, he has passed. I was lucky enough to be in the Vatican a couple weeks ago and saw him with a lot of other people, to make that clear, in one of his last appearances. And I can tell you, he wanted to go forward. He wanted to continue to speak out and be a huge presence within the church beyond it. The question now is, as regards the next pope, will the next pope carry on in this very progressive, actually I think often quite visionary approach to economics, and to a host of other issues, or will it be a more conservative pope? This is a big deal, not just for the church, but really for the whole of the world, because as a moral voice, a pope has tremendous authority, not always to change the course of affairs, as we know, but to influence how we think about things, how we talk about things, and frankly, to create a space. And that's the last thing I'll say about it, particularly on Gaza. There's simply no question that this pope created a space for people who were critics of Israel's policy as regards Gaza.
Yep. Speaking of the Pope and Gaza, one of his last acts, Pope Francis, before his transition, was to donate the Pope Mobile. We all know the Pope Mobile. We see the Pope riding around in it. He donated that Pope Mobile to the children of Gaza, and that Pope Mobile is now going to be like a mobile health unit, traveling around providing health care to people inside Palestine. So that I thought was another statement, and I thought about that, was reminded of that when John made the comment about his commentary, his phone calls, his interest in the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. He literally donated the Pope Mobile to the children of Palestine, and again they will be served by the Pope Mobile, which will be transformed into a sort of mobile health unit. So I just wanted to kind of mention that. It is going to be fascinating in a few moments, or as soon as we find out. I suspect perhaps even while I'm on the air today. Yeah, it'll be quick. Yeah. We're going to find out pretty quickly, or maybe in this hour, who knows. But as soon as we find out, of course, I will bring that news to you of who the new Pope is. But what do you think would happen? We've been speculating about this. I have no idea. All I know is there's white smoke coming out of the Sistine Chapel. That's all I know. But what would happen, you think, if they announced the new Pope? We've been talking about the movie Conclave and the ending of that movie, and if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen it, the ending will get you, I can assure you. But all I say is this: it wasn't who everybody thought it was going to be. So what if we find out later today, in a few moments, that it isn't who people thought it was going to be? There were some names of some front runners that were mentioned early on, but there are a number of black African cardinals. We've been talking again about whether or not the new pope will continue in the progressive tradition, in the progressive direction that Pope Francis was taking the church, or whether there'll be a U-turn in this moment where the whole world, it seems, is electing autocrats and authoritarian leaders. Will the church mirror that, or will the church follow the lead that Pope Francis put out there, given, again, that he appointed a significant number, John, of these cardinals who have elected whoever this new pope is? But what would the world say? What might happen if they just surprised us with a pope that nobody expected, maybe even a black African pope?
Well, it is within the realm of possibility. I mean, Cardinal Turkson from Ghana is certainly a serious contender. Mm-hmm. He has a remarkable history. I think members of his family are Muslim. Other members are Methodist. He has been a real leader in interreligious dialogue, which is a really important thing, especially in Africa, but all over the world. And he's a serious contender. You also could end up with the first Asian pope. And there is no question that there's been a lot of focus on Cardinal Luis Antonio Tago from the Philippines. And he is very, very progressive, at least by a lot of accounts. You never know. It's a little bit like picking a Supreme Court justice in the United States. Mm-hmm. You never know exactly how they'll turn out once they're in position. But yes, these cardinals have the potential to recognize that the Catholic Church is a multiracial, multi-ethnic global church, and that popes can come from Africa, from Asia, and they can, in the choice of a pope, the church can send powerful signals. Remember, Pope Francis was the first pope from the Western Hemisphere. I mean, just imagine that in all these years. But he did have Italian roots, but he was from South America, and I think that there is a consciousness on the part of the cardinals. And again, when we talk about this, it happens. I'm not Catholic, but I pay a lot of attention to the Catholic Church, and I pay a lot of attention to what popes say and do, because we live in a time, Tavis, and you and I have talked about this a lot, where our political leaders are very infrequently, if ever, moral voices.
Mm-hmm.
Too often they tend to disappoint us at the most fundamental levels, to engage in petty politics when they should be going to the higher ground. And it's not as if popes are always above politics. They're not.
Yeah.
But these are figures who have an ability and often an inclination to deliver a moral message. When this pope appeared before the U.S. Congress, he spoke in 2015 about Dorothy Day. And Dorothy Day, you will remember, and some of your listeners remember, she was a radical, a proud radical who talked about economic injustice and racial injustice with a passion that was burning and intense. And for the Pope to raise her up, especially in front of a Republican, Congress, that was a very big deal. And so popes can do that. Now, we can have all of our, people can have all their concerns about the church and things that they'd like to see the church be different on, and that's an internal debate. And people can line up where they want on that. But if you step beyond that internal debate, and you get the what the Pope says to the world about economics, about morality, about race, about war and peace, this pick is a big, big deal for all of us.
No, the timing of it couldn't be more propitious given what's happening, as I said, in the world. So we are awaiting the announcement, the reveal of who the next pope, who the new pope is. John said two things I want to just follow up on right quick that I found really fascinating. Of course, everything John says is fascinating to me. I love this guy. I should mention right quick, I mentioned a moment ago that this didn't take long. This is day 2, if my numbers are correct. I think it's day 2. So it's day 2 of this papal conclave, the longest, if you're curious, the longest papal conclave was, when was this? 3 years, the longest one. Took 3 years. That was in the 13th century. And so this is a lot shorter than 3 years to pick a pope. There must have really been a lot of infighting then, of course, John, but it took 3 years to choose a new pope. This one just took a couple of days inside the papal conclave. So there's a comparison and contrast for you history buffs. But you said something a moment ago that I wanted to follow up on, that most of our elected officials these days are anything but moral leaders. I make a distinction when I talk to certain people between politicians and public servants. I don't think we have enough public servants. I still think public service is a noble profession. But I make a clear distinction between most of what we have, which are politicos, politicians, elected officials at best, but most of them are not public servants. Here comes John even giving me a higher standard to consider moral leaders versus run-of-the-mill politicians. And it made me think about this last campaign. And when there were so many people, namely people in support of Donald Trump, who ultimately won, as we all know, God help us all, people kept saying, I'm electing a president, not a pope, not a priest. It became a line that everybody supporting him used. We're electing the president, not the pope. Not a priest, and now we see what we're stuck with. But I recall that, I'm sure you do as well. What do you recall of the frame that people kept creating about Donald Trump? That he's the president, not the pope, not a priest, as if we did not want someone necessarily with morality to lead us in this critical American moment. John Nichols.
What a perfect focus for Tavis. Exactly right. I mean, look, we have separation of church and state in the U.S., and I think that's a very healthy thing. because we are a multiracial, multi-ethnic, multi-religious country. And so you want to have people, have the freedom to follow their paths. And so you don't want the state imposing religion. And so, no, we don't elect a president. We don't elect a pope. We don't elect a priest. But that doesn't absolve you from having a moral offense. I mean, look, we buried Jimmy Carter not that long ago.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that people liked about Jimmy Carter, even if they disagreed with him, even if they felt he failed in some departments, I think what people liked about him was that he tried to be moral.
Yeah.
He tried to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And I guess that's all I ever ask for in a political leader.
Yeah.
Is that they try. And, I've got to give a speech tonight out in southwestern Wisconsin to a rural area. And it's the Lyndon Baines Johnson anniversary address. And then you go out there and got to talk to a bunch of rural folks about Lyndon Johnson. And Lyndon Johnson was about as messy a guy as you could find politically, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, he came out of a lot of difficult, ugly politics down in Texas. And yet, if you look back on his speeches from 64, 65, you could tell that man was wrestling with doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
And when his speech on Civil Rights Act, on the Voting Rights Act, on the war on poverty, when he got up and talked about those things, it was, I'm not the biggest fan of Johnson. I think he got a lot of things wrong. But boy, when he tried to do the right thing, it allowed him to move this country forward in ways that we hadn't moved forward for the better part of 200 years.
No, one of my favorite clips of Lyndon Johnson, we think of Richard Nixon, we think of those Watergate tapes. He wasn't the first president to use tapes. There's a lot of tape, a lot of footage of Lyndon Johnson inside the White House. And one of my favorite clips of him saying, and I'm cleaning this up for radio, if the presidency is not for doing good, what the heck is it for? That's a paraphrase of a quote, a very famous quote from LBJ, but he was talking about civil rights. He was getting pushback on on advancing the Civil Rights Act of 64 and the Voting Rights Act of 65. He just said to somebody in a moment of rage, if the presidency isn't about moving the country forward, what the heck am I doing here? What is it for? And that echoes the point that John Nichols made. When we come forward, there is obviously Trump news. I want to play a brief clip of the president and his, the most recent insane comment from President Trump. Excuse me, we'll play that when we come forward. I still want to get John's take on what happened in Memphis. These 3 black officers in a case with a black judge and an all-white jury acquitted these 3 black cops of the murder of Tyre Nichols. We'll talk a bit about that. Spend more time about that in our third hour, in our second hour rather. Johnny Gill in our third hour. But again, in case you just tuned in, there is white smoke coming out of the Sistine Chapel, and I'm told they are cheering wildly in St. Peter's Square. And so we are awaiting the announcement, the reveal of the new Pope. In the meantime, we'll continue our conversation with the National Affairs Correspondent for The Nation magazine. Pleased to have him, John Nichols, right now on Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Tensions flared outside of a Grand Rapids, Michigan courthouse as protesters clashed during jury deliberations in the trial of ex-officer Christopher Shore, charged with killing a black man, Patrick Lyoya.
I think that they are really weighing the options and the facts, and I really, truly hope that they come up with something soon.
The jury is deadlocked, but was told to keep trying. One person was arrested. Jurors are in deliberations today in the Tyre Nichols murder trial. 3 former Memphis officers are charged with beating him to death back in 2023. That was caught on video. None of the former officers testified. And a Lending Tree survey shows 77% of parents say raising kids is more expensive than expected, with nearly half having fewer children due to costs. The average cost to raise a child now is nearly $300,000, up 36% in 2 years. A $5,000 baby bonus is reportedly under consideration. Get BIN News Now, on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man.
It's a good time to be a New York Knicks fan. The Knicks pulled off another come-from-behind win at Boston to take a 2-0 lead in the best-of-7 Eastern Conference semifinals in the NBA playoffs. A 91-90 victory gives the Knicks a huge advantage over the defending NBA champions. The next two games are in New York. Game 3 is Saturday afternoon at Madison Square Garden. In a text to Shedeur Sanders, future Hall of Fame quarterback Tom Brady told Deion's son to use his fall in the NFL draft as motivation. Brady has become a mentor to Sanders, who fell from a projected first-round pick to the 5th round on day 3. Sanders is one of 5 quarterbacks on the Cleveland Browns roster. The list includes Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, and Deshaun Watson. Brady can speak from experience. He was a 7th-round pick of New England in 2000. Brady won 7 Super Bowls and was a 3-time NFL MVP. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. With so many shows on our station weekdays and weekends, it's hard for me to keep track of all the guests who are actually in studio on any given day. I wish I'd known in advance that LADA Nathan Hochman was coming in studio for a recent interview. Had I known, I would have loved to have personally greeted him and then asked him why LA City Council member Curran Price is being criminally prosecuted for allegations of misconduct similar to the conflict of interest violations for which former City Council member Kevin De Leon is only being fined. What's that about, Mr. DA? In fairness to Mr. Hochman, it was former DA George Gascon who actually filed felony charges against Councilman Price. I opined then on how these criminal charges against Price did not pass the smell test. I was concerned then that this was yet another wayward prosecution of a high-profile black elected, not to mention a waste of taxpayer money. I am even more convinced now that this is a hot mess. To be clear, neither you or I want a bunch of self-serving, greedy, conflict of interest criminals managing the people's business inside LA City Hall. But we also don't want selective or targeted prosecution of black politicians. We've seen that movie before, and we don't need a sequel. It's hard to watch Kevin De Leon get away with paying an $18,000 fine for repeated ethics violations, what he calls an oversight, and at the same time, watch the DA's office continue its criminal prosecution of Curran Price for issues allegedly involving his wife's clients. Motions, I might add, that were passed unanimously by the LA City Councilman. What are you saying, Tavis? I'm glad you asked. DA Hochman did not start this inquisition, but he certainly has the power to stop it. I have said it before, and I will say it again. Fundamental fairness. In the absence of fundamental fairness, we experience a cascade of deteriorating conditions. The erosion of trust, the weakening of social cohesion, alienation, marginalization, the legitimacy of authority diminishes, cynicism and disengagement grow, and ultimately, people abandon civic participation altogether. Fundamental fairness, Mr. Hochman, that's all we ask. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Growing up can be a pain. You're not a man until you come of age. We've given up our teenage years in the effort to pursue our career. Who assumes responsibility of having to support our families? Who's protecting us from harm? Is there anyone around that we can trust? So we search for answers to our questions. Looking for
He's had quite the career. New Edition, all the solo hits, LSG, and more. Johnny Gill joins us live in studio today in our third hour for a career conversation. We continue now talking all manner of politics with our friend and brother, National Affairs Correspondent for The Nation magazine, John Nichols. And I was laughing, John, how God works things out. I'm so glad that John was on this first hour. He literally was just at the Vatican 2 weeks ago. And the breaking news of this hour is that there's white smoke coming out of the Sistine Chapel. They are cheering in St. Peter's Square. We are awaiting the reveal of the new Pope, elected on day 2. It didn't take 3 years, the longest turn in history to elect a new Pope. Just a couple days into it, and into the conclave, a new Pope is about to be announced. We're waiting on that. But what a blessing to have John Nichols here in this hour today, given, again, his recent trip and his having covered these issues for so many years regarding the Vatican and the Pope and the politics and the morality and all the issues we've been discussing in this first half hour. So I'm grateful, as always, to be in conversation with John Nichols. So there's that news. The white smoke has gone up. The plume is in the air. And we are once again awaiting for the announcement of the new Pope. But there is other news. Donald Trump and the entire Trump administration, for that matter, are still talking about doing away with FEMA. So FEMA is under what they call a review, but make no mistake about it, he wants to abolish FEMA. Indeed, his Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem just reiterated just a day or so ago on Capitol Hill, reiterated to lawmakers that the president wants to abolish FEMA. Now, how stuck on stupid is that, given that on June 1 we commence the hurricane season? Why are we in a conversation about doing away with FEMA and hurricane season starts literally just a few weeks from now? Here is audio of Donald Trump talking again about doing away with FEMA.
I'll also be signing an executive order to begin the process of fundamentally reforming and overhauling FEMA, or maybe getting rid of FEMA. I think, frankly, FEMA is not good. I think when you have a problem like this, I think you want to go and, whether it's a Democrat or Republican governor, you want to use your state to fix it and not waste time calling FEMA, and then FEMA gets here and they don't know the area, they've never been to the area, and they want to give you rules that you've never heard about. They want to bring people that aren't as good as the people you already have. And FEMA's turned out to be a disaster.
Wow. Not that FEMA helps deal with disasters, but to Donald Trump's mind, FEMA is itself a disaster. So here we are on the eve of hurricane season commencing, talking about not just reviewing, but abolishing FEMA. What say you, John Nichols?
It's a huge issue, and it's a moral issue.
Yeah.
Hey, to continue on from our previous discussion, look, you and I both know that the wealthiest people in the world, the people who have, the big mansions on the waterfront, they can rebuild, and they often do.
Yeah.
But working class people, poor folks, who are often, in the places that get hit hardest,
oh, yes.
get hit hard by, they need equity, right? They need an agency that is going to care for them no matter, how big their house was or what their circumstance was. And so that's one of the reasons why a federal program with a certain set of standards. And admittedly, I'm all for making FEMA better. So I'm not saying it's been perfect, but a federal program is important just on that baseline level. And there's also something about what the president's saying that is so disingenuous and maybe even ignorant. FEMA is a federal agency. There's no question of that, but it has regional directors.
Mm-hmm.
It has people who work down to the state and local level. It's not like somebody flying in from Washington. Admittedly, there are folks who sometimes fly in from Washington and don't do a great job. And again, those are things that can be addressed. But there are also local people within FEMA and within the structure of it, regional folks, who do know their areas and who, frankly, prepare, who are ahead of the curve. And I can tell you this. If you get rid of FEMA in its current entity, right, and don't replace it with something that is, well constructed and well thought, you run the risk of immense corruption, right? And you run the risk of immense politicization, where presidents who will have access to resources rush aid to places they want to rush aid to, and forget about places they don't want to care about. And even if they rise above that troublesome potential, who advantage certain politicians, disadvantage other politicians. The game. We've seen it. And I'll tell you, Democrats and Republicans have often failed on this regard. This isn't just, one side.
Yeah.
But one of the things about a federal bureaucracy, as much as we dislike bureaucracy, is that at its best, it tries to make sure that we have, some sort of standard and some sort of equitable care. And so I worry a lot about this. I think it's fraught with peril.
Yeah. Again, I think the timing is horrific, that we're literally having conversations about doing away with this agency as we are approaching the beginning of hurricane season. It makes no sense at all. I don't get it, but I don't get most of what Donald Trump says or does. Speaking of silliness and foolishness, so literally just a few moments ago, the House, the House voted to rename the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America. Clearly, this is symbolic. They say symbolic. I call it silly. The legislation is certain to die in the Senate, but this move, John, puts the Republican-led House on the record supporting Donald Trump's nomenclature about Gulf of America versus Gulf of Mexico. It's just another move that these Republicans are making to fall in line with his so-called America First worldview. Now, you write for The Nation magazine, but this is the kind of nationalism that just rubs me raw.
Well, The Nation magazine is not a nationalist.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the nationalist magazine.
Yeah.
We're very concerned about the nation. We're very concerned about the United States. And like all Americans, we would like to see the United States be a great nation that does the right thing on many, many levels.
Yep.
But one of the things that I think, at least I'm conscious of, as somebody gets to travel a little bit, is that this is a big world.
Yeah.
And at our best, we get along with our neighbors and with people around the world. And one of the realities is that the Gulf of Mexico has been the Gulf of Mexico for a very long time. And it is bordered by different countries, including Mexico.
So, go figure. Go figure. Yeah.
The changing of the name to reflect, the interests of one country, right, or one politician, really, Donald Trump, is an unsettling thing, because you would hope that if we have an arc of history that bends toward progress, that one of the things we'd learn to do is not to play these kinds of games. And this is a game, right? It's a fight about, what you put on a map. And it with the purpose of apparently offending some people and making somebody else happy and things of that nature. And I guess what I would say to Congress is, aren't there bigger issues in the world?
Exactly.
Aren't there things that we really should be focused on right now?
Yep. That's why I call it silliness and foolishness, but that's their agenda. Again, lining up with his America First motif, and there you have it. Much more to cover with John Nichols when we come forward. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley. If you missed our KBLA Talk 1580 Town Hall, the Altadena Eden Fire, 100 Days and Counting, you missed an evening of reverence, reflection, and reality.
You gotta live in the reality because this is it. Every day, you wake up, is this my life? Don't stay in denial because yes, it is. Don't stay in bargaining where you're praying for a miracle and if it wouldn't have happened, then this is what I would have done. It did.
Our panel participants kept it real. Really real.
I think, number one, it's amazing to me how we ignore systemic racism in our community, and as a people, we've apologized for so much, but when will we stop apologizing for what we have paid for? Because the truth of the matter is we paid for this.
You can always count on KBLA Talk 1580 to give it to you straight, no chaser. When you love folk, you tell them the truth. Seeking the truth, speaking the truth. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down. KBLA Talk 1580 and the California Black Chamber of Commerce invite you to the Small Business Development Workshop, How to Do Business with California Government, on Thursday, May 15th at Victory Park in Pasadena, 2575 Paloma Street. Get certified and register as a new bidder. Sell products and services to the state. Learn about pre-bid events and more, and it's all free. All you have to do is sign up at www.calbcc.org. That's www.calbcc.org. Registration for the Small Business Development Workshop, How to Do Business with California Government, begins at 9 a.m. and the workshop concludes at 1 p.m. on Thursday, May 15th at Victory Park in Pasadena, 2575 Paloma Street. This is a community call to action from the California Black Chamber of Commerce and KBLA Talk 1580.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Less monologue, more dialogue. Tavis Smiley continues right now.
I say it all the time. I am so blessed. I love that I have a really, really, really bright audience, and leave it to the audience to remind me. One of our listeners said to me, Tavis, we were talking about, John and I were just talking about the Trump administration trying to do away with FEMA as the hurricane season begins, literally weeks from now on June 1. One of our listeners says, Tavis, what a Trump thing to do, especially during the 20th anniversary year of Hurricane Katrina. What a Trump thing to do, especially during the 20th anniversary year of Hurricane Katrina. And I got a wonderful team of producers, and I'm pretty good at this myself, and none of us made that connection. But our listeners made that connection. And you recall, John, you were talking about how FEMA, well, anyway, you recall when George Bush finally showed up, you recall, He said, oh, you're doing a heck of a job, Brownie. Remember that line? I do. You're doing a heck of a job, Brownie. Brownie was his nickname for Michael Brown, who was running FEMA, and I will never forgive George Bush. I've said many times, and Michelle Obama, God love her, has given interviews where because she sits next to George W. Bush, which she used to when she showed up. She ain't showing up no more now. But when she showed up, because of the order of the presidential chronology, she would always stick next to George W. Bush, as you know, when she did show up. And she would they'd be passing mints. He's passing her mints and gum and candy. And she has done a number of interviews where she says, I just love him. I just love him. Well, I don't. My mama said I can't hate nobody, but I don't just love him. Never mind his popularity numbers rising into the 60th percentile now. I think that's partly because we're enduring the Trump era. And so George W. Bush's numbers are up. When he left the White House, his numbers, as you recall, John, were the lowest of any president in modern history when he left. And I would never forgive him for leaving all those black folk on those rooftops in Katrina to die and then telling Brownie, you're doing a heck of a job, Brownie. George W. Bush didn't show up. Condoleezza Rice was at Saks Fifth Avenue buying some shoes, and Negroes, black folk were dying on rooftops in New Orleans. That's what happened then, and there was FEMA. Imagine what happens now in hurricane season, John Nichols, if there is no FEMA. But I love our listener who made this point that only Trump would do this during the 20th anniversary year of Katrina. A quick thought from you, John Nichols, and I'll press forward.
Well, my quick thought is that the 20-year anniversary is a reminder that we should make FEMA better, right?
Yeah.
I mean, part of being on the right side of history is not to cling to something just for the sake that it's there, right? And so if we're wise, we are for reforming and improving FEMA. There's no question of that.
Yeah.
But there's a big difference between reform and improvement and elimination or downsizing or deconstructing. And that's the subtlety that we bring to this.
Yep.
I'll give you one other thing that I think is really
John, hold that thought 1 second. I want to hear that. Don't forget now. Don't forget where you are. I want to hear that one other thing. And our remaining moments, I also want to circle back to Columbia University. We've discussed that so many times over the last few months for all the obvious reasons. Last night, you probably saw the news. Columbia University once again called in police to clean out pro-Palestinian protests. Why do I raise that? We just discussed on this program last week, as you know, the 55th anniversary of Kent State. And what happened at Kent State 55 years ago when the university there brought in police. 55 years later, they're still calling in police to clean out protesters. It happened last night on Columbia's campus. We'll talk about that as well. Don't forget your point, John. One more thing when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine a Los Angeles where everyone can thrive, where communities have access to the resources they need to succeed. That's the vision of Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. They're dedicated to improving life in LA County by providing educational support, employment assistance, and spaces for community engagement. By 2050, they want LA to be the best place to connect, create, learn, live, and play. They're working toward an education system that's well-resourced and culturally responsive, becoming a hub for artists and innovators, and making sure everyone has access to healthy food, quality healthcare, and safe housing. It's about building a future where we all have the chance to succeed. We invite you to learn more about their mission and get involved with Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. Every girl deserves a chance to shine. That's the belief behind Forgiving for Living, Inc. Since 1999, this organization has been empowering at-risk girls ages 13 to 18, helping them overcome behavioral and mental health challenges. Founder Wendy Gladney's personal journey inspired the mission to give girls hope and purpose through the power of forgiveness. Through their ambassador program, workshops, and annual conference, Forgiving for Living has touched over 3,000 young lives, providing mentoring, life skills, training, and tools for building self-esteem and confidence. You can make a difference. Visit forgivingforliving.org to donate, volunteer, become a mentor, or find help for a young girl in need. Forgiving for Living, Inc., building brighter futures for young girls. Visit forgivingforliving.org today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Nia.
Hi, Nia. It's Jennifer. Did you know that Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, I work here.
Okay. I was just double checking. Get it?
Because Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, you get me, Nia.
You could say that I double get you.
I guess we've taken it too far.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
More honesty than you can handle. More empowerment than you can imagine. You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
Too much breaking news for one day. John Nichols, big news here. Trump has withdrawn his U.S. attorney nominee. Ed Martin, as you recall, was interim, and Donald Trump wanted to make him the permanent the lead U.S. attorney for Washington. Tom Tillis, Republican out of North Carolina, says, I cannot support this guy given all of his support of those January 6th insurrectionists. Why do I raise this? Finally, a Republican senator has found a spine to push back on the president and say, I cannot support this guy given all the work he has done to support these January 6th insurrectionists. And Donald Trump just announced he's pulling the nomination. Your quick comment, John Nichols.
My quick comment is that, look, the history of this moment, for better or worse, will be a history of the Republican Party.
Yeah.
Because Democrats don't have control. And so the question on every issue is going to be, does a Republican or a handful of Republicans stand up and do the right thing?
Yep. Yeah, there's one. There's one example. Tom Tillis says, I can't do it. And so Trump pulls the nomination. I got 2 minutes left. There was one other comment you wanted to make before the break. Give me that right quick, and I'll close on Columbia.
I'll give it to you very quick. We were just talking about George W. Bush, and the great historian Stanley Cutler, a presidential historian, once said that the job of every president is to make his partisan predecessor look better. And the fact is that Trump has made Bush look better. But that doesn't make Bush good or perfect by any means. And I think we have to keep that sense of history. And I guess that's all I would say is George Bush led us into an illegal and immoral war. He responded horribly to economic challenges at home. He cut taxes for the rich.
That's right.
He did a lot of stuff that was damaging, and we shouldn't forget. But that doesn't in any way diminish our understanding of the fact that Donald Trump is outdoing Bush by doing more damage.
No question. 60 seconds left. Last week, the 55th anniversary of the Kent State Massacre. Last night, Columbia still calling in police to push out protesters. Your thoughts?
Look, at the end of the day, student dissent has often pointed the way to the right thing. And that goes back to the civil rights protests, which was so much student-driven, the anti-Vietnam War protests, the protests over apartheid, the protests over our policies in Latin America. Students who stand up and try and tell us that we should go a different course often show a courage that our political leaders don't. And it is incumbent upon us. Obviously, you want campuses to be stable and functional. I understand the challenges there, but it is incumbent upon us to recognize that students who dissent are not necessarily to be dismissed. They often are telling us need to hear.
And a child shall lead them. They're not really children, but you take my point. John's right.
A young adult.
Young adults, and a young adult shall lead them. Let's try that. But I love John's point that they often have the courage and the conviction and the commitment and the character to speak truth to power and to the powerless that our elected do not. I digress on that. What a busy hour. That's why I love John Nichols. He moved through all that swiftly. I didn't get a chance to ask him about the Memphis case with the cops, but thankfully I got a whole hour to talk about that and more with Dr. Robert Turner when we come forward. For now, John Nichols, I deeply appreciate you, my friend. All the best. You would talk soon.
I deeply appreciate you, and before the day is done, we'll find out whether we've been right about where the Catholic Church is heading. So lots of news to be made.
We shall find out. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Tensions flared outside of a Grand Rapids, Michigan courthouse as protesters clashed during jury deliberations in the trial of ex-officer Christopher Shore, charged with killing a black man, Patrick Lyoya.
I think that they are really weighing the options and the facts, and I really, truly hope that they come up with something soon.
The jury is deadlocked, but was told to keep trying. One person was arrested. Jurors are in deliberations today in the Tyre Nichols murder trial. 3 former Memphis officers are charged with beating him to death back in 2023. That was caught on video. None of the former officers testified. And a Lending Tree survey shows 77% of parents say raising kids is more expensive than expected, with nearly half having fewer children due to costs. The average cost to raise a child now is nearly $300,000, up 36% in 2 years. A $5,000 baby bonus is reportedly under consideration. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
It's a good time to be a New York Knicks fan. The Knicks pulled off another come-from-behind win at Boston to take a 2-0 lead in the best-of-7 Eastern Conference semifinals in the NBA playoffs. A 91-90 victory gives the Knicks a huge advantage over the defending NBA champions. The next two games are in New York. Game 3 is Saturday afternoon at Madison Square Garden. In a text to Shedeur Sanders, future Hall of Fame quarterback Tom Brady told Deion's son to use his fall in the NFL draft as motivation. Brady has become a mentor to Sanders, who fell from a projected first-round pick to the 5th round on day 3. Sanders is one of 5 quarterbacks on the Cleveland Browns roster. The list includes Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, and Deshaun Watson. Brady can speak from experience. He was a 7th-round pick of New England in 2000. Brady won 7 Super Bowls and was a 3-time NFL MVP. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
You really about to do it? 40 acres in the mule. This is bigger than the music. You really about to do it? Yeah, they tried to rig the game, but you can't fake influence.
Who among us doesn't like black music? But Kendrick is right. This moment is so much bigger than music. These are serious times. We've got serious problems, and we need serious people who understand that slogans are not solutions. When you want substantial and sober analysis about things that matter to you and the ones you love, this is where you turn. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black. Baby!
On a perfect day, I know that I can count on you. When that's not possible, tell me, can you ever restore?
'Cause I need somebody who will stand by me through the good times and bad times. He would always be right there. Sunny days, everybody loves them. Tell me, baby, can you stand the rain?
Johnny Gill is our guest today in our third and final hour. As I've said a few times already today, what a career. LSG, his solo hits, all the way back to Stacey Lattisaw, and of course, New Edition. So Johnny Gill on his way in studio. He'll be here in our third hour today. Should be a great way to close today's show, celebrating an amazing career still ongoing. Johnny Gill today in hour 3. In this hour, as promised, a conversation with Dr. Robert Turner, who is a historian and senior pastor of Baltimore's Empowerment Temple. And there are a couple things I want to get at with him in this hour. Delighted to have him on a day such as this. You all saw the news of those 3 ex-Memphis police officers. I'm going to play that clip, Miles, in just a second from the Mr. Mulroy, the DA in Shelby County, so pull that up. But you all saw the story of those 3 ex-Memphis police officers who were found not guilty of state charges in the fatal beating of Tyre Nichols. Interestingly, in this case, the defendants, the defendants, of course, are all black. Even the judge is black, but the jury was all white. Black defendants, black judge, all white jury. Go figure. So there's a lot to unpack there in this conversation with historian and pastor Dr. Robert Turner vis-a-vis this tragic verdict. We will also discuss in this hour his mission, and it is quite a mission. And when you hear what he's been doing as a part of his mission, I think you'll be taken aback in a good way. But he is all in on his mission to save Black history and the Blacksonian, as we call it, the Blacksonian Museum in Washington, which Donald Trump has targeted. The leader of that institution has already left the building. I was just reading some articles last night in preparation for this conversation about the way that the team inside the Blacksonian are trying to figure out how to move forward without their leader, who's already, again, been pushed out. There have been stories about some certain exhibits that are being taken down. They've denied that and said that these exhibits had run their course and it was time to return the artifacts to their rightful owners, the persons who had loaned these items to the exhibits. I don't know where the truth is in that. What I do know is that Donald Trump has been very public in his comments about going after the Blacksonian, and Dr. Robert Turner ain't having it. So we'll talk about that as well in this hour. But we commence, as I said, talking about the acquittals for these 3 Black Memphis police officers. And this is the voice of Steve Mulroy, who is the Shelby County DA. Shelby County, of course, is the county in which Memphis sits. Miles, give me the clip.
What kind of conversation did you have with Tyre Nichols' family when they left today?
We spoke to them briefly. Obviously, they were devastated. I think you could imagine that they would be devastated. I think they were outraged, and I think we can understand why they'd be outraged by this result, given the evidence. They quite understandably decided that they needed to go home and process all this, and we're going to give them that respect and respect their privacy.
What sort of message does this give to specifically the Memphis Police Department, who just got done with this pattern and practice investigation and really doesn't have to grapple with the consequences of that either?
Right. So it's important to note that, you know, there have been guilty verdicts over on the federal side. I'm not going to speculate about what will happen over on the federal side, but it's not like there have been no consequences whatsoever from the tragic killing of Tyre Nichols. I personally think that if we're going to make any sense of this tragedy, if we're going to have any silver lining from this dark cloud of both the event itself and, in my view, today's verdict, it has to be that we need to reaffirm our commitment to police reform and to doing what we need to do to make sure that tragedies like this don't happen again. And I remain committed to that. I'm sure the city of Memphis remains committed to that, and we're not giving up on that.
So Attorney Ben Crump, representing the family in this case, had this to say in a statement. Today's verdicts are a devastating miscarriage of justice. The world watched as Tyre Nichols was beaten to death by those sworn to protect and serve. That brutal, inhumane assault was captured on video, and yet the officers responsible were acquitted. Tyre's life was stolen, and his family was denied the justice they so deeply deserve. We are outraged, and we know we are not alone. Let this be a rallying cry. We must confront the broken systems that empowered this injustice and demand the change our nation and Tyre's legacy deserves. When we come forward with Dr. Robert Turner, we'll talk about this moment as a potential rallying cry. We'll talk about confronting the broken systems that empowered this injustice, and we'll talk about how in this moment we demand the change for our nation, not just for Tyre Nichols, but for others who may find themselves in harm's way, and how we save and preserve Black history, never mind Donald Trump's intent to wipe it out and wash it away. It's going to be a great hour with the Right Reverend Dr. Robert Turner when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
From Leimert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
The Comedy Connection series
Featuring KBLA's Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, and the alpha male of comedy, Ray Grady. We're going to transform relationship disasters into stand-up material live at Inglewood's Miracle Theater on May 31st at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. My clinical team will disclose all of your dating woes, while the alpha male of comedy, Ray Grady, has hand-selected supremely talented comedians to roast all of our tragic relationship choices. I dare you to bring your ex's phone number, because Ray, he's going to text it live, and the crowd will be sourcing emojis. Tickets are moving swiftly, so don't hesitate to grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before I diagnose your dating history as a pre-existing condition.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
I'm Tavis Smiley, again, Johnny Gill today, in our third hour, a career conversation with Johnny when he comes live in studio. Let's commence what is going to be a difficult conversation, but a necessary conversation in this hour with Dr. Robert Turner. Dr. Turner, how are you, sir? Good to hear your voice. Glad to have you back on this program.
So glad to be back, Brother Smiley. So glad to be back. Honored to be on your show.
No, man, honored to have you on. Thank you for your time. Let me just start with this Memphis case, and I'll follow your opening salvo. But just give me your thoughts when you heard the news that these three black officers who had been found guilty, convicted on federal charges last year, were found not guilty of state charges. I repeat once again, three black defendants, a black judge in this case, but an all-white jury. And on state charges, once again, these three black officers who killed Tyre Nichols were found not guilty. Take it away, Dr. Turner, and I'll follow you, sir.
I was very much so frustrated, unfortunately, though not surprised, for the state of Tennessee, birthplace of the Klan, to find these officers who committed murder, cold-blooded murder, innocent or acquitted them of the charge. I really have the family in my thoughts and my prayers. But America really has shown she has no sensitivity to the suffering of Black people. I'm talking about even African Americans, oftentimes, because he was killed by some Black police officers as well. And the sad reality from this is that, and I'm all for having more Black police officers and Black judges, but the system of policing and the system of America, it's not just the police departments, has shown a numbness to the suffering of Black folk. And so much so that it is easier for Black people to be exonerated or be acquitted for killing another Black person than it is for them killing a white person. And that's the truth. I mean, if you want to increase your chances of getting off and not going to prison, the law shows you kill a Black person, you're not guaranteed to go to jail. Police are civilian.
I don't need to layer this this case with race any more than race was already at the epicenter of it. And I don't know how this actually happened, but the fact that the jury that was seated in this case was all white. I didn't follow this story every single day, every minute detail of it. But I think many people were shocked to learn when the verdict came in that this jury in this case was all white. Now, the case was moved outside of Memphis because they didn't think they could get a fair hearing necessarily in Memphis. But Chattanooga, as I believe, is where, is that correct? Yeah, so Chattanooga is the place, the city in Tennessee, where the case was actually argued. And so that has something to do with this, I suspect. But what do you make of the fact that, again, they are found guilty and convicted on federal charges, but in the case where the state charges are brought, they find themselves in front of an all-white jury, these three Black cops. I've got my own thoughts about it. I want to hear yours first. What do you make of the fact that an all-white jury acquitted three Black cops in the South, in Tennessee? There are all kind of ways we can parse this thing. I'll let you go first.
Yeah, it's going back to my original statement that in Tennessee, one of the birthplaces of the Klan, they had, the sad reality of enslavement of our people was that they used Black people oftentimes as overseers as well. And so the only time Black folk can get off with hurting anybody is if the victim that they hurt was another Black person. And Tennessee, several hundred years later, is showing that they still don't see any harm in, first of all, killing a Black person, but even when a Black person kills a Black person, most often in states like Tennessee, because I'm born and raised from Alabama, Tuskegee to be exact, they pride themselves on law and order and things of that sort, but they discard that philosophy when it comes to the suffering or the death, in this case, of a Black man. It's funny also that they moved it out of Memphis, the state where the crime took place, to Chattanooga, moving it based with the reasoning being they felt that in Memphis they would not get a fair trial. So having Blacks on the jury that would be more likely in Memphis than in Chattanooga. So having Blacks on the jury would not give them a fair trial, but having all whites on the jury will give them a fair trial. That to me shows that they don't even include Blacks in their calculus of justice at all.
Yeah. I was thinking when this verdict came down, when it was read, I was thinking about getting inside the head of these white jurors. To your point, white supremacy is as real as rain. And if it's real in any place, it's real in Tennessee. Keep in mind, now, this is the same place where they kicked out those two Justins from the legislature who thankfully ran and won again and found their way back inside. But this is the same Tennessee where these two black men named Justins, these two Justins were kicked out. And so here you have this white jury. And again, I was trying to get inside their head because I know they had to be wrestling with, okay, which way do we go here? We don't really like these Negroes. We're not really feeling these Negroes here in Tennessee, but they are cops. So do we string them up because they're black, or do we let them off because they're cops? So do we go with the black or do we go with the blue? I can't get inside any of their heads, but you would never convince me that some, if not all, those white jurors were wrestling with that notion. Do I bet on black or do I bet on blue? We saw the way they went, but you know they had to be thinking about that, Robert Turner.
Yes, no, and I go a step further.
Okay.
I go a step further. The fact that who they killed was black.
Yeah.
Also had these black police officers killed a white person,
mm-hmm.
they'd be in prison right now.
Yeah.
You know, so black, blue, but the victim was black, more importantly, and that canceled everything else out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Tennessee.
Yeah.
My mother's side of the family's from Tennessee. They had to leave my mother's lineage because of some threats from white folks in Tennessee. Moved down to Florida.
Hold that thought, Dr. Turner. The word is out. The Pope. We've been waiting for this news. We started our first hour today talking about the Pope, and so we were speculating whether or not some history would be made, and whether or not they'd have the first black African Pope. Not necessarily, but the first American has been elected Pope in the Papal Conclave. His name is Robert Prevost. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying that overall he is a centrist on some key social issues. He's viewed as a progressive. Faraji, get on the phone right quick and see if we can get Father Pfleger right quick out of Chicago. I know Pfleger knows him. Somebody try to get Pfleger for me. Jay-Z, Faraji, somebody get Father Pfleger on the phone right quick. We can squeeze him in. I have 2 minutes on the phone here for a few minutes. Let's see if we can get Pfleger on the phone right quick out of Chicago to comment on this and tell me what he knows about this guy. I'm just reading quickly what we think we know about him. Again, centrist overall, progressive on certain views, has long embraced marginalized groups. So he's a lot like Francis in that regard. But he also opposes ordaining women as deacons. And so on that point, he is seen as rather conservative on church doctrine. But again, the Pope is out of Chicago, and he is the first American to be elected Pope in the Papal Conclave. That's what I know right now. So stand by. Let's see if we can get Father Pfleger on for some more information about what he knows about this guy. And I'm going straight to the source, and we'll see what we can learn about the new Pope. But again, the announcement has been made, and history has been made, that they have elected, again, the first American to be the head of the Catholic Church. So put a pin in that for a second. I promise we'll get back to that in the second half hour of this conversation, if I can get my hands on Father Pfleger quickly enough. You caught him already? We reaching out to him? Okay, good. Just talking to my team. We were trying to get Father Pfleger on the line right quick. So, Dr. Turner, I hate to cut you off, but I want to get that breaking news out about the Pope. We've been waiting on this announcement to be made, and there you have it. The smoke went up out of the Sistine Chapel an hour or so ago, and we were waiting for the announcement to be made about who has been elected as the new Pope. And so, again, some history has been made with the first American being elected by the conclave at the Vatican. To serve as the new head of the Catholic Church. Any comment about that, Dr. Turner? And I want to circle back to Tyre Nichols here.
No, well, as a fellow churchman myself, I'm happy that the Catholic Church has chosen a new leader. My prayers are with them and the new leader. I do like his first name already, but I know he'll get another name as Pope. But I hope and pray that he does what's best for all God's people. And as you are talking, I'm researching myself. So to see more about who he is.
Yeah,
I'd be very interested to see what Father Pfleger has to say.
Yeah, we'll get Father Pfleger on as quickly as we're trying to get him on the phone right now. We'll get him probably on the backside of this hour. But we'll come back to Tyre Nichols in a second. But since we're on this breaking news of the moment that a new pope has in fact been elected, I was talking to John Nichols from The Nation magazine in our first hour, and we raised this issue. And I want to ask you, John Nichols is a great reporter, but he ain't a member of the clergy, as are you. So I'm fascinated to get your take on this same question that he and I wrestled with in hour one, Dr. Turner, and that is, you recall during the campaign, all these persons who were supporting Donald Trump kept saying, I'm not electing a pope, I'm electing a president. I'm not electing a priest, I'm electing the president. And that was their cover for all of his moral failings. We know that we don't elect officials these days, political officials, necessarily be moral leaders. I recognize the line between church and state, and yet we do want leaders, I think, who have some sense of morality. And it was so abundantly clear all during that campaign, all the issues that came up. I don't need to go through this again. We all know this. We endured that campaign. Donald Trump is anything but a moral leader. But all these moralists and all these white evangelicals, everybody lined up using that same line that we're not electing the Pope, we're electing the president. What did you make of that line then as juxtaposed against what we have gotten from the guy who ain't the Pope, but in fact is the president?
Yeah, and I think that's very ironic that he most recently on his social media page posted an AI image of him as the Pope.
Yeah.
And so, no, we did not elect the Pope, but the president is supposed to be someone where, at the very least, your children should look up to. I mean, we're not asking him to be Mother Teresa, but Donald Trump is probably the most amoral president, this not just our nation, but any nation in the modern era. Say, for instance, the members of the UN Security Council has ever seen. He is right there right now, in my opinion, along with Vladimir Putin, especially with his executive orders and the things he's just done in the first 100 days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just thought about that again. It was just so fascinating for me that people kept using that line to cover again all his moral shortcomings. That we want a president, not a pope. Well, you got that, and you can see the way he's showing up with a compass, without, I should say, completely lacking any sense of moral compass. This is what we are stuck with. Again, the white plume came up out of the Sistine Chapel a couple hours ago, I guess. And so we knew that the announcement of the new pope was forthcoming. I'm reading as fast as I can here live on the air. Again, his name is Robert Prevost. That's spelled Prevost. I assume it's pronounced Prevost. Out of Chicago, the first American to be elected pope. He is 69 years of age. And he is going to go, I am told, by Leo the 14th. That's what he'll be referred to as Leo the 14th. XIV, I think that's 14. My Roman numeral history. My producer tell me I'm right. This Leo the 14th is what he's going to go by. And again, we're getting word that he is centrist in many respects, but has a progressive streak, I guess is the best way to put it, which is why I want to get Father Pfleger on the line right quick to see if we can get him to share what he knows about the new Pope, the first American to be elected head of the Catholic Church. When we come forward, a bit more on this, we'll circle back to Tyre Nichols, and then, of course, I want to spend some time with Dr. Turner talking about the Blacksonian and all that he is doing, along with others, to protect this African-American museum. It seems to me, as I've been following this story, that black churches are backing this in battle Smithsonian African-American History Museum after Trump's order, taking aim at it. And it also seems to me that if there is going to be a movement around this or any number of other issues in the next 3.5 years during Trump 2.0, the black church is going to have to get involved. So a great deal more to cover with Dr. Robert Turner when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Tensions flared outside of a Grand Rapids, Michigan courthouse as protesters clashed during jury deliberations in the trial of ex-officer Christopher Shore, charged with killing a black man, Patrick Lyoya.
I think that they are really weighing the options and the facts, and I really, truly hope that they come up with something soon.
The jury is deadlocked, but was told to keep trying. One person was arrested. Jurors are in deliberations today in the Tyre Nichols murder trial. 3 former Memphis officers are charged with beating him to death back in 2023. That was caught on video. None of the former officers testified. And a Lending Tree survey shows 77% of parents say raising kids is more expensive than expected, with nearly half having fewer children due to costs. The average cost to raise a child now is nearly $300,000, up 36% in 2 years. A $5,000 baby bonus is reportedly under consideration. Get BIN News Now, on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
It's a good time to be a New York Knicks fan. The Knicks pulled off another come-from-behind win at Boston to take a 2-0 lead in the best-of-7 Eastern Conference semifinals in the NBA playoffs. A 91-90 victory gives the Knicks a huge advantage over the defending NBA champions. The next 2 games are in New York. Game 3 is Saturday afternoon at Madison Square Garden. In a text to Shedeur Sanders, future Hall of Fame quarterback Tom Brady told Deion's son to use his fall in the NFL draft as motivation. Brady has become a mentor to Sanders, who fell from a projected first-round pick to the 5th round on day 3. Sanders is one of 5 quarterbacks on the Cleveland Browns roster. The list includes Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, and Deshaun Watson. Brady can speak from experience. He was a 7th-round pick of New England in 2000. Brady won 7 Super Bowls and was a 3-time NFL MVP. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. With so many shows on our station weekdays and weekends, it's hard for me to keep track of all the guests who are actually in studio on any given day. I wish I'd known in advance that LADA Nathan Hochman was coming in studio for a recent interview. Had I known, I would have loved to have personally greeted him and then asked him why LA City Council member Curran Price is being criminally prosecuted for allegations of misconduct similar to the conflict of interest violations for which former City Council member Kevin De Leon is only being fined. What's that about, Mr. DA? In fairness to Mr. Hochman, it was former DA George Gascon who actually filed felony charges against Councilman Price. I opined then on how these criminal charges against Price did not pass the smell test. I was concerned then that this was yet another wayward prosecution of a high-profile black elected, not to mention a waste of taxpayer money. I am even more convinced now that this is a hot mess. To be clear, neither you or I want a bunch of self-serving, greedy, conflict of interest criminals managing the people's business inside LA City Hall. But we also don't want selective or targeted prosecution of black politicians. We've seen that movie before, and we don't need a sequel. It's hard to watch Kevin De Leon get away with paying an $18,000 fine for repeated ethics violations, what he calls an oversight, and at the same time, watch the DA's office continue its criminal prosecution of current Price for issues allegedly involving his wife's clients. Motions, I might add, that were passed unanimously by the LA City Councilman. What are you saying, Tavis? I'm glad you asked. D.A. Hochman did not start this inquisition, but he certainly has the power to stop it. I have said it before, and I will say it again. Fundamental fairness. In the absence of fundamental fairness, we experience a cascade of deteriorating conditions. The erosion of trust, the weakening of social cohesion, alienation, marginalization, the legitimacy of authority diminishes, cynicism and disengagement grow, and ultimately, people abandon civic participation altogether. Fundamental fairness, Mr. Hochman, that's all we ask. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
Made fresh daily in Leimert Park, Los Angeles, California. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Isis omnibus peccatis vestris. Jesus Christus ad vitam aeternam. Indulgentiam, abstionem omnium peccatorum et fructuose penitentiae.
Just want to give you a little taste. That is the new Pope, Leo the 14th, speaking live right now on the balcony in St. Peter's Basilica. I am delighted to bring on the line with us, Father Michael Pfleger, my dear friend who leads St. Sabina's on the south side of Chicago. The new Pope is the first American to ever be elected Pope. He is out of Chicago. We're in conversation with Dr. Robert Turner about a number of other issues. He is the senior pastor of Baltimore's Empowerment Temple. So, Dr. Turner, stand by for a second. I know he's on the line. You can hear. But I want to just, I appreciate your patience, but I want to get to Father Pfleger right quick here for a few moments to talk about what he knows about the new Pope. Again, history made, the first American elected by the Papal Conclave to lead the Catholic Church. First of all, Father Pfleger, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, sir, and I'm so far what I know about this guy. I don't know him, but what I know about him, I'm really encouraged. He was a local pastor in Peru. He was a missionary, worked with the poor. He's from the Chicago area. Went to CTU in Hyde Park, which is a very progressive theological school.
Mm-hmm.
And he's chosen the title of Leo the 14th, who is known for social justice and the social issues focused in the church. So my thing is, I don't care where he's from. I don't care what order he's from. I don't care what country he's from. What I'm hoping for is the heart of Francis, which was the heart of Jesus. And it sounds like this guy has that background, has that heart. So that gives me a lot of hope. We shall see what he says in the next few days, but of course everybody's going to be doing all the research on him. But I'm very encouraged to see this move.
Yep. In case you just tuned in, again, the white smoke came up out of the Sistine Chapel a few hours ago now, which indicated that a new pope had been selected. And now we know who it is. Again, he is the first American pope. He's from the Chicago area, as you heard Father Pfleger say, was educated at a progressive seminary in Illinois. He is, we are told, 69 years of age. His name is Robert, Prevost? It's spelled Prevost.
Prevost.
Yeah, Prevost. Robert Prevost is his name. He's going to go by Leo the 14th. The best commentary that I've seen so far suggested he is a bit of a centrist on some key issues, but on social issues, as Father Pfleger just said, he is viewed as a progressive. He has long embraced marginalized groups, and again, Father Pfleger mentioned he went to a progressive seminary, so that may be some indication. Like Francis, he opposes, we're told, ordaining women as deacons, and so on that point and a few others, he is seen as more conservative on church doctrine. But in a moment like this, what direction should the Catholic Church be headed in, Father Pfleger?
Well, I think when the death of Francis showed us that very clearly. At the death of Francis, we saw not just the Catholics around the world, we saw the people around the world talking about this guy's humility, talking about his simplicity, talking about his one of the people. They called him the people's pope.
Yeah.
His desire to stand up and be strong. To the day that he Easter Sunday, his comment about the horror of what's going on in Gaza and what's going on in Ukraine. His willingness of his courage and boldness to speak for what he saw was evil. I remember when he spoke here in the country and talked about the gun industry, as they were the blood money that they were making from guns in America. He has. We need the humility and the focus on the poor, and we need the courage to stand up for injustice, particularly right now, what's going on in the country, what's going on in America. We need a voice of courage. We need a voice of who concerns for those who have been marginalized. And I think it was very clear that this is what the people are looking for. And we saw the crying out of the love of Francis. So that, to my mind, that sent the greatest message in the world. And I think somebody coming in is either going to walk with that message or are going to alienate all those people.
We've been talking for the last few weeks now about the movie Conclave. I just said yesterday, I guess, or the day before on this program, that Conclave, the film, jumped 283% in earnings, in viewership, I should say. Yeah. Jumped 283% after the passing of Pope Francis. Everybody wanted to see this movie Conclave, which is the best thing out for what actually happened now. We're done with it. What actually happened inside the Vatican. The movie Conclave, it gave you a good sense of that. If you recall from that film, there was, in fact, a black African who was in the running early in the film to become the next pope. Again, I won't spoil it if you've still not seen Conclave yet. That didn't quite happen. But in real life, there are so many black African cardinals who were in this group of cardinals who had a chance to vote for the new pope. And I was hoping that they'd surprise all of us and give us a black African pope for the first time. They did not do that. But history, again, has been made with the first American elected as the head of the Catholic Church. And there are a number of ways to think about that. And maybe Dr. Turner in a moment will want to comment on this as well. But you first, Father Pfleger. So, Miles, make sure I got Dr. Turner on the line here. Father Pfleger, you first, though. Does it mean anything to you that in this particular and peculiar American moment, indeed this moment of peculiarity around the world, that an American, for the first time ever, would be elected head of the Catholic Church? Does that mean anything to you? Does it resonate on any level? Does it concern you on any level?
You know, it does relate something to me. And my point is for right now, as you just pointed out so well, where America is at right now and what's going on here right now and the fascism and the tyranny that we are seeing evolve day by day in America right now, for them to appoint an American pope who has an understanding about America and an understanding about the Constitution of America and the law of the Supreme Court and the rest, for him to be appointed, I think this could be a very, very important time for a pope to be put in this position who has this understanding of America, what it was called to be, what it has never been, but what right now is under most attack.
Yep. What's been growing the Catholic Church the most, Dr. Turner, what's been growing that church the most has been an increase in Latin congregants, and certainly on the continent of Africa, the Catholic Church has been growing faster than anything else. Not so much necessarily here stateside. So interesting in this moment, while the church is growing in other parts of the world, an American has chosen to lead the church. Any thoughts you may have about that, sir?
Yeah, I think it shows that they really want to emphasize the possibility of that growth by choosing an American and also continuing the vein of Pope Francis. I'm encouraged by the fact that he is an American. I don't know yet what order he may hail from, but that also will show a lot about his theology as well. I know Pope Francis was very much so in line with the Jesuits. And I hope that, and the Jesuit order, as you know, Brother Smiley, was one of huge support of reparations. They pledged over $100 million. I hope that this new Pope will continue in that vein and also think about what the Catholic Church can do to repair the harm for its support of enslavement across the globe. of African people.
Yep. Dr. Turner, you stay with me. We'll finish out this hour. I'm going to lose Father Pfleger. Father Pfleger, the last word to you. Again, for those who may have just tuned in, a new pope has been selected at this papal conclave. His name is Robert Prevost. He will go by Leo the 14th. We started this segment playing audio of him speaking live from the balcony at St. Peter's Basilica. So I give the last word to the Catholic in this conversation, Father Mike out of St. Sabina. What is your hope for his leadership, sir? What's your hope?
My hope is he is from, and Dr. So you know, he's from the Augustinian order. Is the order he's ordained in.
Okay.
But I think my hope is that he is going to continue the heart of justice, the heart for the poor and the marginalized and the forgotten, and that he will be a person who, again, will be seen amongst the people, and the simplicity and humility that we need. We do not need. We have already in America one trying to be a king. We don't need the king mentality in the papacy. We need a servant who smells like the sheep.
I love a servant who smells like the sheep. That's why Father Pfleger is my man. Father Mike, I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for chiming in from Chicago. All right, you stay strong. Good to have you on. When we come forward, we'll continue our dialogue with Dr. Robert Turner, who I'm pleased to have right now on Tavis Smiley.
From California to the Carolinas, everybody's listening to Tavis. More when we come forward. KBLA Talk 1580 and the California Black Chamber of Commerce invite you to the Small Business Development Workshop, How to Do Business with California Government, on Thursday, May 15th at Victory Park in Pasadena, 2575 Paloma Street. Get certified and register as a new bidder. Sell products and services to the state. Learn about pre-bid events and more, and it's all free. All you have to do is sign up at www.calbcc.org. That's www.calbcc.org. Registration for the Small Business Development Workshop, How to Do Business with California Government, begins at 9 a.m. and the workshop concludes at 1 p.m. on Thursday, May 15th at Victory Park in Pasadena, 2575 Paloma Street. This is a community call to action from the California Black Chamber of Commerce and KBLA Talk 1580.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well-trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
If you missed our KBLA Talk 1580 Town Hall, the Altadena Eden Fire, 100 Days and Counting, you missed an evening of reverence, reflection, and reality.
You gotta live in the reality because this is it. Every day, you wake up, is this my life? Don't stay in denial because yes it is. Don't stay in bargaining where you're praying for a miracle and if it wouldn't have happened, then this is what I would have done. It did.
Our panel participants kept it real. Really real.
I think, number one, it's amazing to me how we ignore systemic racism in our community, and as a people, we've apologized for so much, but when will we stop apologizing for what we have paid for? Because the truth of the matter is we paid for this.
You can always count on KBLA Talk 1580 to give it to you straight, no chaser. When you love folk, you tell them the truth. Seeking the truth, speaking the truth. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down. Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley, Dr. Robert Turner. Just one final footnote, at least at this hour, about the new Pope, who was going by Leo the 14th, the first American out of Chicago. We are told, I'm reading now, he chose the name Leo the 14th to honor his predecessor, Pope Leo XIII, a founding figure of the Catholic social justice tradition, and by adopting this name, he is indicating a desire to continue in his footsteps and emulate that work. The choice also signifies the start of a new pontificate akin to a second birth and reflects the historical practice of popes choosing names of predecessors according to the Vatican. So that's why he chose Leo XIV to honor his predecessor, Pope Leo XIII, who was a founding figure of the Catholic social justice tradition. We will see if Leo XIV stays in that tradition, moving the church in a more progressive direction, as did Pope Francis. That's what we know at this hour. Dr. Robert Turner is our guest in this hour, historian, senior pastor of Baltimore's Empowerment Temple. Thank you for your patience there, letting us squeeze in Father Pfleger out of Chicago to opine on what he knows and hopes and prays that will come out of this new papacy. But I want to circle back right quickly to the Tyre Nichols case, and then we'll close talking about the Blacksonian. Reading, there's so many comments that have come in this hour about a variety of subjects, including, of course, Tyre Nichols. One listener says, Dr. Turner, that white people probably felt that if black cops was beating a black man's behind, he must have done something. If he was getting beat by black cops, he must have done something. That takes us back to your notion earlier that there really isn't the level of respect for the humanity and dignity, Dr. Turner, of black life.
No, and we never have the presumption of innocence. Unfortunately, not even by sometimes folks who look like us. Yeah. You know, one of the worst forms of white supremacy is not white supremacy in a badge, but white supremacy in blackface. Right. And that has been, unfortunately, a recurring theme. Now that we have blacks in positions of power, we see often, and I'm an advocate for blacks in positions of power. Let me be clear. I am an advocate for black people in positions of power. But unfortunately, far too often, more often than I would like, those blacks who are in positions of power act similar to, in some cases worse than, because of the white supremacy in blackface. Yeah.
Nope, I think it's a powerful point, and I take it. Hard to swallow, but I hear you loud and clear. When we come forward in our remaining moments with Dr. Turner, we'll talk about the Blacksonian and his efforts to save that institution and black history at the same time. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
This is getting good. Yeah, man. Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a black and brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. or find them on Instagram at WalkGoodLA. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Individual results may vary. Consult a doctor prior to use.
If you've struggled to lose weight in the past, this important message is for you because you could lose as much as 50 pounds or more with Zelfie. Zelfie makes it easy and affordable to get weight loss treatment 100% online. Zelfie providers can prescribe FDA-approved GLP-1 weight loss medications clinically shown to help people lose weight like Wegovy, Zepbound, and others. Plus, help get the medication covered by insurance so it's as little as $0 a month.
The doctors are super helpful, and the meds have been a game changer. It's the first program I've had success with.
Before Zelfie, I was unable to lose weight, even though I was eating healthy and exercising 6 days a week. Zelfie helped me not only lose weight, but I feel so much better.
Text GOAL to 200-300 to get started today with Zelfie and see if weight loss medications like Wegovy or Zepbound are right for you. Don't wait. Text now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text GOAL to 200-300. That's GOAL to 200-300. GOAL to 200-300.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed with Dr. Robert Turner, historian and senior pastor of Baltimore's Empowerment Temple. I've only got 4 minutes. All this breaking news this hour got in the way. I understand it. You understand it. Dr. Turner understands it. We'll get him back on to talk more about this. But in the 4 minutes I have left, I want to give it all to you right quick. Tell me about your work, your effort, your witness to hold Donald Trump accountable for what's happening to the Blacksonian in D.C.
Oh, just put it very precisely. We're not going to stand by idly and watch this occupant of the White House defund or intimidate the most visited museum in the nation's capital, which is the Blacksonian. And so really originated by the pastor and good brother and friend Otis Moss, who started with his church at Trinity with membership to the Smithsonian. I reached out and we worked together, and my church is now a member as well. And this past month, I walked from Baltimore to the White House, and I didn't stop there. I went to the Smithsonian, which ended up making my walk 43 and a half miles, to show support and solidarity and to offer prayer for the Smithsonian and to encourage people to join the Smithsonian as members. They have membership rates varying from $25 a year and up to $1,000, but you can pay as little as $25 a year and be a member. And we must show our solidarity and support for our own institutions.
Yep. I love what the black churches are doing. You mentioned Otis Moss III. He was on this program a few weeks ago. Delighted to have you on now. Tell me, in the minute I have left here, say more about the role that the black church, and for that matter, other institutions need to play to step up here if Donald Trump is successful in defunding the Blacksonian.
Yeah, and so not just even with the Blacksonian, we need to work together, but the black church really was the foundation board for a host of black-led initiatives and institutions, such as HBCUs. A lot of them started from the black church.
That's right.
Black-owned business, black-owned banks started through church offerings. And so with this terrible administration and what they're seeking to defund, it really shows the renewed need for the black church in stabilizing and in some cases helping to establish more institutions to offset the terrible policy initiatives of this administration.
Yeah. Dr. Turner, I appreciate, as I said earlier, your work and witness, and you've been doing these walks for a long time, just trying to keep alive the legacy of protest in this country. He has received so much coverage for these walks that he does routinely. How often do you do these walks between Baltimore and D.C.? How often does it happen?
Every month, and my next one is on May 17th, the birthday of our fraternity brother, the late, great John Conyers, who was the first elected official to author any legislation for reparations in this nation. Yeah. So I'll be walking on his birthday.
See what these good Kappas are doing, y'all? See what these Kappas are doing?
That's right.
I'll just say yo and leave it at that. Dr. Robert Turner is historian and senior pastor of Baltimore's Empowerment Temple, taking these walks every month, literally once a month, from Baltimore to D.C. to register his concerns and our concerns about the issues that are impacting and affecting our community. 43.5 miles was his last walk from Baltimore to the White House and then on to the Smithsonian. I appreciate, again, your work and witness, and I'll talk to you soon, my friend. All the best to you.
Yes, sir. Thanks so much, Doc.
Thank you, sir. Coming up at our third and final hour, Johnny Gill. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Tensions flared outside of a Grand Rapids, Michigan courthouse as protesters clashed during jury deliberations in the trial of ex-officer Christopher Shore, charged with killing a black man, Patrick Lyoya.
I think that they are really weighing the options and the facts, and I really, truly hope that they come up with something soon.
The jury is deadlocked, but was told to keep trying. One person was arrested. Jurors are in deliberations today in the Tyre Nichols murder trial. 3 former Memphis officers are charged with beating him to death back in 2023. That was caught on video. None of the former officers testified. And the Lending Tree survey shows 77% of parents say raising kids is more expensive than expected, with nearly half having fewer children due to costs. The average cost to raise a child now is nearly $300,000, up 36% in 2 years. A $5,000 baby bonus is reportedly under consideration. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
It's a good time to be a New York Knicks fan. The Knicks pulled off another come-from-behind win at Boston to take a 2-0 lead in the best-of-7 Eastern Conference semifinals in the NBA playoffs. A 91-90 victory gives the Knicks a huge advantage over the defending NBA champions. The next 2 games are in New York. Game 3 is Saturday afternoon at Madison Square Garden. In a text to Shedeur Sanders, future Hall of Fame quarterback Tom Brady told Deion's son to use his fall in the NFL draft as motivation. Brady has become a mentor to Sanders, who fell from a projected first-round pick to the 5th round on day 3. Sanders is one of 5 quarterbacks on the Cleveland Browns roster. The list includes Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, and Deshaun Watson. Brady can speak from experience. He was a 7th-round pick of New England in 2000. Brady won 7 Super Bowls and was a 3-time NFL MVP. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
You really about to do it? 40 acres and a mule. This is bigger than the music. You really about to do it? Yeah, they tried to rig the game, but you can't fake influence.
Who among us doesn't like black music? But Kendrick is right. This moment is so much bigger than music. These are serious times. We've got serious problems, and we need serious people who understand that slogans are not solutions. When you want substantial and sober analysis about things that matter to you and the ones you love, this is where you turn. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
Baby!
Always brand new. Back from the jump, we had a hunch that we had everything. Perfect combination. Love plus you and me. A perfect combination. They couldn't ask for any better. Perfect combination.
So, as promised, an hour with Johnny Gill. We've been playing his music all throughout today's show, getting ready for this career conversation with this hit maker out of Washington, D.C. This is L.A. We're heard, of course, all across the country, but I'm sitting in L.A., and you know the horrors of L.A. traffic. And so because of traffic, Johnny is still a few miles away from the studio. But thank God for Jesus, we got him on the phone. And we're going to do this as best as we can until this Negro walks into the building. Johnny Gill, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Oh, come on now. This is technology, baby, at its best.
Okay, we got an hour, and I want to start at the beginning. You hear us playing, you and Stacy. Tell me about this song. We're going to start at the very beginning. Tell me about this track all those years ago, Johnny Gill.
Man, let me tell you, this was when it really got where I was really, really starting to understand that I was officially in the business. And I met the first person, I probably one of the most prominent guys that I met in the business. First guy was Narda Michael Walden.
Oh, yeah.
So this was like, I was on cloud nine.
Yeah. When you and Stacy, you I think you and Stacy were dating then, were you not, as kids?
Yeah, we was dating then. I was, she was the hot in girl, And,
yeah.
I was standing up on my game even back then. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to understand, y'all. They don't want to put no respect on my name, but it's all good.
Yeah. It is, speaking of you dating Stacy back then as a kid, it is impossible to hear you, to see you in concert and to not appreciate those black church roots. Tell me about those black church roots, Johnny.
Man, let me tell you, I've always said, I don't care how you chop it up, that the best training you could ever get as a singer is in the church. And man, there's a thing that you have that you learn that I don't think you could get anywhere else, man. It's a connection that you have with the people, and to be able to watch how you are able to move people or learn how to move people. I'm talking about in all settings. I don't care where you go.
Mm-hmm.
There's no greater training to me or place to start than in church. And I mean, there's some great singers and great vocalists all over the world and have come during our time. But I'm saying that the majority of so many talented singers and people that you have no idea that exist until you go into a church, a Baptist, or Holiness, or wherever, and then you start listening at both these voices that are just incredible, and you go, "Wow, how come they're not superstars?" But they come a dime a dozen in church.
Yeah,
so many.
Yeah, tell me specifically about your church.
My dad was a minister.
Oh, yeah.
Growing up in church, it was like I often laugh and talk about my dad being like the minister Joe Jackson. I had 3 older brothers. We all was in church and had to sing in church. My oldest brother had reached the point where he used to hate singing so much that he wouldn't even turn around and face you when he was singing. So he used to get in trouble at home afterwards. And I remember my oldest brother.
Johnny, hold on. So he was the original Miles Davis, right? If you know
the original Miles.
If you know anything about Miles Davis, Miles got to a point in his career that he would play with his back to the audience, and it annoyed a lot of people. But he was in fact Miles Davis, and he was peculiar. So your older brother was the original Miles Davis, singing with his back to the church congregation.
Singing with his back and would get in trouble every time, and still would do it. So every time he get in trouble, he still would do it. And I remember him saying to us when he said, "When I turn 18, I'm never singing no more." He turned 18, he never sung anymore.
Well, let me just say this. I'm sorry your brother stopped singing, but I'm glad you kept on singing. Because if Johnny Gill had not kept on singing, we wouldn't have all the hits that we have, and I'm glad I've got him for the hour. We're going to play some of the best. It's hard to play all the best of Johnny Gill. So many hits, so little time. You think about his solo hits. You think about New Edition. You think about LSG and on and on and on. This Negro got some hits. We're going to celebrate Johnny Gill in this hour on Tavis Smiley.
generous listening. Charitable listening. It's why everybody wants to talk to Tavis. The conversation continues when we come forward.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. KBLA Talk 1580 and the California Black Chamber of Commerce invite you to the Small Business Development Workshop, How to Do Business with California Government, on Thursday, May 15th at Victory Park in Pasadena, 2575 Paloma Street. Get certified and register as a new bidder. Sell products and services to the state. Learn about pre-bid events and more, and it's all free. All you have to do is sign up at www.calbcc.org. That's www.calbcc.org. Registration for the Small Business Development Workshop, How to Do Business with California Government, begins at 9 a.m. and the workshop concludes at 1 p.m. on Thursday, May 15th at Victory Park in Pasadena, 2575 Paloma Street. This is a community call to action from the California Black Chamber of Commerce and KBLA Talk 1580. Freedom is an endless meeting, so let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
On a perfect day, I know that I can count on you. When that's not possible, tell me, can you ever stop? 'Cause I need somebody who will stand by me through the good times and bad times. He would always be right there. Sunny days, everybody loves them. Tell me, baby, can you stand the rain?
I had the honor of seeing New Edition on the last night of their residency in Las Vegas. And when I tell you they killed that thing, I'd heard from all kinds of people who had seen them how amazing their show was. I had not seen their Vegas residency, but it's the best day of my year so far. I mean, because the show's so amazing. You hear the New Edition hits, and then they all come on stage and do a little bit of their own stuff. So Johnny does his stuff, and Belle Biv DeVoe does their stuff, and Ralph does his stuff, and Bobby does his. I mean, they all come out and do their thing, and then they come back together and do some more New Edition hits. The Bobby Brown years, the Johnny Gill years. It is one of the most amazing shows I have ever seen. And if you ever get a chance to see these guys when they're back out on tour again, and you don't want to miss the opportunity to catch them live in concert. One of the best shows. I kid you not. And y'all know I'm a music lover. I see everything. In all forms of music, but it's one of the best shows I've ever seen. And I'm delighted to have Johnny Gill as our guest on this program in this hour. We'll get to the New Edition years later in this conversation, Johnny. But you mentioned Father Michael Walden earlier. What an amazing songwriter. And I want to just go back to that because you've had the honor of working with some pretty amazing songwriters. I told the story earlier this week on the program, Johnny. I was in New Orleans recently on business, but it happened to coincide with the New Orleans Jazz Festival. So on the plane ride there, I walk on the plane, and guess who I'm sitting next to? The great guitarist, the great bassist, Stanley Clarke. So Stanley Clarke and I talk.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so Stanley Clarke and I talk all the way to New Orleans, Johnny. On the way back, I walk on the plane at 5 a.m., and there's some Negro sitting in my seat. And I'm like, I don't want to argue with nobody at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm just trying to get back home to L.A. And I put my bag in the overhead compartment. I tap him on the shoulder very gently. He doesn't move. I tap him again. He looks at me, and I said, sir, I'm sorry to bother you, but I think you're in my seat. I'm in 3A. I think you're probably in 3B, but I got the window seat, 3A. He looks at me. He cocks his head. He turns his head the other way, and then he takes off his headphones. He pulls down his hoodie. He takes off his hat. He takes down his mask. He takes off his glasses and his baby face. So I'm sitting there arguing with baby face. I'm like, Kenny, you in my seat, man. And I want my window seat. So we argue for 3 or 4 minutes. I finally relent. I let Kenny have the seat. But then Kenny and I talked from 5 o'clock in the morning all the way to the time we got off the plane back here in L.A. And we talked politics, we talked music, and I said to him, Johnny's coming on the show next week. And we talked about My, and the stuff he's written for you. So you mentioned Father Michael Walden. Just talk to me about what it means in your career, what it has meant for you to work with so many great songwriters, Johnny Gill.
Man, let me tell you something. If you don't know, it's like recognizing and looking at this stuff, how I'm so grateful, because you don't understand when you're in the middle of it and it's happening, you really have no idea what you're doing, how it's creating, the kind of history you're creating, and what it's going to do eventually at some point over the years, over time. And so when I think back and I look back at Kenny and think about having an opportunity to meet and work with him and L.A. and Jimmy and Terry, and the list goes on, I am beyond grateful, man, but so fortunate because, someone once told me, they said, to have a hit record, I got to look it up, but what the odds are of just having one
hit record.
A hit.
Yeah.
So when you look at artists, and it's sometimes we take it for granted because, we're able to crank out hit after hit after hit after hit after hit. That is not normal. It appears that because when you are great at what you do and then you can make it look that easy, effortless, it's one thing. That's the true testament to how great some of us and our talent and we are in what we do. But the truth is, man, it's like really a high percentage of odds against you trying to have one hit record. So when you have people like these great producers that you get a chance to work with that has made such an impact on, and the reason why I'm able to do what I'm doing 40 years later.
Yeah.
Listen, man, it's deep, and it's a blessing, but I don't take it for granted.
Yeah. To your point about 40 years later, how have you, over these years, protected your instrument? Because, as I mentioned a moment ago, when one sees you on tour right now, whether you're doing your solo stuff or whether you're doing the New Edition stuff, when one sees you right now, it's clear that you still got it. And I know a lot of artists who've been at it for 40 years, and they don't have it like they used to have it. You still got it. How, all these years later, have you protected your instrument?
I drink casual, occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
I've never done drugs. Those things have never had an interest in.
Yeah.
And the reality for me is that I've always been conscious of my instrument because I've always wanted to have and be the best at what I do. And I know and understand in order to do that, it takes putting in work. I respect people like LeBron. I respect people like Magic and MJ and all those guys I've seen over the years. And I understand that you really have to work and protect your body. And if that's your part of your craft is physical, whether it's doing that as an athlete, whether it's singing, because the vocal cord it's a muscle.
Sure.
That has to be. That's like going to school, like going to a gym, working out. That has to be. You have to exercise. You have to vocalize. You have to make sure that you're not doing overindulging in things that hurt the vocals, like alcohol and drugs. But that's what has worked for me. I've seen and heard stories of Uncle Charlie to Natalie Cole. Those people went and indulged, and it, for whatever reason, for Natalie, it ruined her for a while. But for Uncle Charlie, he never missed a beat.
No, I've said many times. Every time I see Charlie, I tell him this, and the same is true for El DeBarge. Those two always come to mind. I have never seen two artists who have done more to ruin their instrument. And for whatever reason, and it turns out that they both obviously are steeped in the church, as are you. Both of them, frankly, in the Pentecostal church. El out of Grand Rapids, Charlie out of Tulsa. But it is amazing to me all the damage they have done over the years to their instrument and how God has protected, particularly in El's case, because El still has his upper register, man. He can still hit them high notes, man. And so El has been protected and blessed. Never mind the damage he's done to himself. Charlie, of course, got clean many years ago, but there was a whole lot of years of damage, and Uncle Charlie can still get it. So there is a blessing that Charlie and El have experienced, and I'm grateful for that. Speaking of great songwriters, because you work with so many, you ran the list. When a songwriter, obviously, if Babyface offers you a song, you want to take it. If Jimmy Jam offers you a song, you want to take it. But how does Johnny Gill know when a song that is presented to him is for him?
It's all about feel. It's all about creativity, imagination. It's all about being fearless, because sometimes you hear songs and you go, I like it, but I don't know if I could go there and touch that, because it just seems like that might be. And what I've learned over the years, when I've looked back at songs like Boyz II Men, songs that I didn't like, and I kept thinking, this is some bull. What I've learned over the years is whatever you do, go all in, because you don't know what the outcome is going to be. So I've learned that songs that I like or might connect with or that just catches my interest, I keep my eyes on it, and I continue to try to make sure that even if I'm going to take a stab at it, just go all in and make sure I commit to it and see what happens. That's what I did with without a doubt. I did to Boyz II Men, and I couldn't stand that song, man.
So hold up. See, now you're making me mad, because I love Boyz II Men, even if Johnny Gill hates it. So I want to just hear some Boyz II Men, and then I'm going to ask Johnny Gill, how could you hate this song? Play it, Miles. This Negro's crazy. You hate this song?
Who's protecting us from harm? Is there anyone around that we can trust? So we search for answers to our questions, looking for the answers, but we are taught a lesson every time. Mistakes we've learned to gather wisdom. Life's responsibility falls in our hands.
Johnny Gill, it is heresy. I mean, complete heresy for you to say you hate that song. Why did you hate Boyz II Men?
I have to clean up something correctly. The reason why I hated it at first was because I was angry that all the songs that Jimmy and Terry had given me during the time we was recording, imagine when you hear Can You Stand the Rain and all those songs, and it was telling me you're not going to be able to sing on any of those. So my thing was, now they're going to throw me a bone at the end of the recording, like this track and this song, that I felt like they was just messing with me, and I thought this was some political bull. So what I did, I said, oh, you know what? I said, just because you're playing with me and messing with me, I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you who you're playing with. And I was singing that song mad. I swear to you.
Okay, Miles, give me some more Johnny Gill singing this song, man.
Our responsibility. Oh, yeah. Wisdom helps us
is why I love these career conversations, because you've heard this song more times than you can count, but it's only talking to the artist that you understand the backstory to the track. And this is what Johnny Gill, we now know, sounds like singing Mad. So, Johnny, if this is how you sound singing Mad, you ought to sing Mad more often, Johnny Gill. Man, you work this thing. You work this thing out. Okay, so here's the question: you sang the song "Mad." You didn't like it. You thought they were messing with you. You called it some political bull. I get that. When did you change your mind about the song? When did you come to actually like the song? I assume all these years later, you still ain't mad about it.
Oh no, not at all. I realized that it was supposed to be. That was how it brought out the best in me. It made me commit. It made me give all that I have into it, because I wanted to prove a point. And that's why I said the lesson was learned was I could have came in and just kind of half did it just to say, let me just get it done, because they just gave it to me and get it done. But I realized it took me to go, I'm going to be totally committed and show these fools that you keep playing with me, so just send me, because it's some political bull. Yeah. I was like, so I just went in. I went all in.
I see. You did go all in. Since we're there, let me keep following you since we're there. Take me back to if the story I've heard is correct, it was actually Michael Bivins who reached out to you, asking you to join New Edition after Bobby Brown's departure. As I mentioned, the great thing about seeing a New Edition show when they're all there together is you get all of this, and you see all this love on the stage. So it's all love now. It wasn't necessarily all love then, as you heard Johnny saying a moment ago. He was the newest member of the group at that time. He thought they were messing with him, so he went all in on this track. But take me back and tell me about Michael Bivins, if that story is true, reaching out to you, and how the New Edition came to you, why you considered it, and why you said yes.
Well, it was just being in the right place at the right time. I think it was a number of things that happened that took place. Hanging out, going to see the Whispers, and I ran into Mike. And, I mean, we had crossed paths many times from just because we all started at the same year. Sure. So we would cross paths doing shows here and there. And we were cordial, not even friends, because we didn't know each other like that. Yeah. But I remember when he talked to me, he told me that he was such a huge fan. And mind you, I had a lukewarm record, probably Half Crazy, which was written by a lady named Linda Creed. And she worked with Tom Bell, and she's written some of the greatest records, sure, huge classics. And she did that. That was her very last song that she wrote and produced. And she passed away of cancer. But I remember him talking to me and asking me if I felt like I got my just due and blah, blah, blah. We having this conversation, and actually in the concert. And he said, hey, man, he was like, what are you doing tomorrow? And I said, nothing. And he says, man, you want to come over for lunch? And I was like, yeah. So I was like, okay, cool. Then after I went over and I, talked to the guys, and we hung out for a minute, and then Mike came back and called me back again. He was like, yo, you want to come to our show that we're doing at the Ice Capades we was on? I was like, yeah. I said, I'll fall through. And I did that, and then, man, next thing you know, they're asking me about being a part of the group and my thoughts, and I was like, huh? So, because, my thought was not because it was an insult about it. It was just, I don't dance. I'm a singer. I don't dance.
Yeah.
So it was the funniest thing how it all started coming to fruition and talking and coming to, shaping up. And then finally we had a number of conversations and went over and met Brooke, and he wanted me to do some cross steps. And then I went and we talked to Gerald Busby, and Gerald was like, when we finally made the decision to do it, Gerald looked at us and said, that's funny, because that was my idea. I was thinking of that.
Wow.
He was like, whatever, Gerald.
Wow.
Things just kind of, came together. By the way, I'm sitting in this parking lot.
Okay.
Here at L, so.
Good. We gonna come outside. How's that for time? We're gonna go outside and get Johnny Gill outside the studio now and continue this conversation with him in studio. So if you're watching live, you can turn on the app, turn on the web. You can see Johnny Gill in studio for the last half hour of this conversation. But I'm still laughing at that story when Gerald says that was my idea. I could hear Mike Bibb say, "Okay, Gerald, whatever." Anyway, Johnny Gill for the rest of the hour in studio on Tavis Smiley.
Why does Tavis say, when we come forward? Because he's not going back. And you don't have to go back either. Forward ever, backward never. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Tensions flared outside of a Grand Rapids, Michigan courthouse as protesters clashed during jury deliberations in the trial of ex-officer Christopher Shore, charged with killing a black man, Patrick Lyoya.
I think that they are really weighing the options and the facts, and I really, truly hope that they come up with something soon.
The jury is deadlocked, but was told to keep trying. One person was arrested. Jurors are in deliberations today in the Tyre Nichols murder trial. 3 former Memphis officers are charged with beating him to death back in 2023. That was caught on video. None of the former officers testified. And a Lending Tree survey shows 77% of parents say raising kids is more expensive than expected, with nearly half having fewer children due to costs. The average cost to raise a child now is nearly $300,000, up 36% in 2 years. A $5,000 baby bonus is reportedly under consideration. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
It's a good time to be a New York Knicks fan. The Knicks pulled off another come-from-behind win at Boston to take a 2-0 lead in the best-of-7 Eastern Conference semifinals in the NBA playoffs. A 91-90 victory gives the Knicks a huge advantage over the defending NBA champions. The next 2 games are in New York. Game 3 is Saturday afternoon at Madison Square Garden. In a text to Shedeur Sanders, future Hall of Fame quarterback Tom Brady told Deion's son to use his fall in the NFL draft as motivation. Brady has become a mentor to Sanders, who fell from a projected first-round pick to the 5th round on day 3. Sanders is one of 5 quarterbacks on the Cleveland Browns roster. The list includes Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, and Deshaun Watson. Brady can speak from experience. He was a 7th-round pick of New England in 2000. Brady won 7 Super Bowls and was a 3-time NFL MVP. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. With so many shows on our station weekdays and weekends, it's hard for me to keep track of all the guests who are actually in studio on any given day. I wish I'd known in advance that LADA Nathan Hochman was coming in studio for a recent interview. Had I known, I would have loved to have personally greeted him and then asked him why LA City Council member Curran Price is being criminally prosecuted for allegations of misconduct similar to the conflict of interest violations for which former City Council member Kevin De Leon is only being fined. What's that about, Mr. DA? In fairness to Mr. Hochman, it was former DA George Gascon who actually filed felony charges against Councilman Price. I opined then on how these criminal charges against Price did not pass the smell test. I was concerned then that this was yet another wayward prosecution of a high-profile black elected, not to mention a waste of taxpayer money. I am even more convinced now that this is a hot mess. To be clear, neither you or I want a bunch of self-serving, greedy, conflict of interest criminals managing the people's business inside LA City Hall. But we also don't want selective or targeted prosecution of black politicians. We've seen that movie before, and we don't need a sequel. It's hard to watch Kevin De Leon get away with paying an $18,000 fine for repeated ethics violations, what he calls an oversight, and at the same time, watch the DA's office continue its criminal prosecution of Curran Price for issues allegedly involving his wife's clients. Motions, I might add, that were passed unanimously by the LA City Councilman. What are you saying, Tavis? I'm glad you asked. DA Hochman did not start this inquisition, but he certainly has the power to stop it. I have said it before, and I will say it again. Fundamental fairness. In the absence of fundamental fairness, we experience a cascade of deteriorating conditions. the erosion of trust, the weakening of social cohesion, alienation, marginalization, the legitimacy of authority diminishes, cynicism and disengagement grow, and ultimately, people abandon civic participation altogether. Fundamental fairness, Mr. Hochman, that's all we ask. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
Now, if you tell me you was mad singing this song.
No, but I can tell you one thing.
Tell me about it.
I don't know if I want to tell y'all.
Tell me.
Tell me.
Come on.
Y'all really gonna crack me over the head.
Tell me.
Only thing I can say about this song is when I recorded it, Gerald Busby was going, "Oh, this is smash. This is gonna be your next single." And I told Gerald, I was like, I don't know. If this is the one we should be going with as a next
You know
single.
what? I need to slap you right now. I need to reach across this desk and slap you right now. You know what? You just do the singing, man. Because obviously you don't know what you're talking about when it comes to what a hit is. You know what works for you as an artist, but you don't know what a hit is. You didn't think this was a hit, man?
It's just,
what?
I didn't know if this was the second single. I wouldn't say it wasn't a bad. I didn't say I didn't like the song, but he was going, "No, this is gonna be the next single."
Johnny,
I was like,
shut up. Just shut up. Just shut up. Play the song, Miles. Play the song. Just play the song.
Come on, sweet little thing that you do.
So Johnny, that part right there we just played, the my part. First take, second take, third take. Like, do you recall when? Because everybody loves that part, that line. You recall how that came to be in the track they kept? Just ad lib.
It was just an ad lib.
Yeah.
And they'll let me run down 4, 5, 6, sometimes 10 tracks, and every time I just do something different.
Yeah.
And that's why when they would say, when I record, they go, "Hey, listen, do that again," and I go, "Do what?"
Yeah.
Because whatever I do,
You're in the moment.
I'm in the moment.
Yeah.
It's never intentional. I just go.
That's why I can never do the acting thing. One, I don't have the talent to do that. But over the course of my career, I've appeared in movies and TV shows doing cameos. And I've said to all my thespian friends, I can never do it because I can't do 18, 20 takes.
They're the same, yeah.
This angle, that angle. And you've done music videos, you know how it works. This angle, that angle, do this, do that. I'm an authentic cat, man. I do it one time.
And that's
me.
it.
So I could never do that retake thing. So I hear your point. When they say do that again, you're like, what? What did I do?
Yeah. And everybody asks me the same thing. They go, all your friends, your brothers, your family that's in the movie business, how come you don't do movies? I'm like, I've watched them over the years when it's 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning and they still shooting. And it's a whole crew of us. We all hanging and having fun and laughing. And they got to still be being funny and got to shoot and the same thing over and over again. Yeah. It's like, hey, man, I respect. No wonder you get paid the big bucks because I can't even imagine trying to. I mean, it's a lot of work.
Yeah. Speaking of actors, I'm going to put you on the spot here and tell a little bit of your business, but not too much of it. So one of the things I love about Johnny, and I have other friends like him, but I have some friends who are just magnets for good people.
Yeah.
And it makes a statement about them that they are, in fact, magnets for other good people. So I can tell you what I know, not what I heard. That, and I'll leave it here. When you go to Johnny Gill's house, or if Johnny Gill calls you and says, Tavis, T, what you doing tomorrow night? I don't know. What's up, Johnny? Come by the house. We're just gonna hang out. Go to Johnny Gill's house. When I tell you anybody and everybody is at his house, he's a socialite. He's a socialite. He doesn't talk about it publicly, but he's a socialite. He loves people, and people love him. Yeah. But it's the variety of people. And I ain't going to call no names, Arsenio. No. I ain't going to call no names, I was gonna say, Tasha. I ain't going to call no names, Eddie. I ain't going to call no names, Judge Mathis. I ain't going to call no names. But Sugar Ray Leonard, I ain't going to call no names. Regina, I ain't call no names. Janet, I ain't going to call no names. But you go to Johnny's house and you walk in, and he's like, OMG. Robert Glasper, I ain't calling no names. But, I mean, from music and art and sport and politics, and here I am. But it's just an eclectic, you have such an eclectic mix of friends, and again, you are a magnet for good people. Tell me how you came, because not every artist feels this way, but you actually love people. Tell me about that part of your personality.
When you love people, I'm Annie Gill's son, and that's my mom. April made 2 years we lost her, but we didn't lose her because we know where she is.
Yeah,
but,
there you go.
You know, she made her transition. But, you know, and I was always taught from my mom to my grandmother, when you have friends, my friends are just, they're like family to me.
Yeah.
And so you know how you feel about your family and how you're supposed to treat your family. So my friends are the same. I don't see them any different than my family. Yeah. And so my grandmother always told me, check on everybody. You make sure everybody's okay. And I've learned that over the years of having people that, you know, you admire, and people that you connect with as your friends. They become family, man. You'll see, my thing is always checking in on everybody, trying to make sure everybody's good. But I just love people, and I don't have this thing. I wish I did sometimes, but I don't have this thing that's in me about being jealous of people, not wanting to see people that are in my genre, in my business, as well as other different genres, to do and excel and be and do well and wish them well and want to see them do. Like, it's not a thing that I talk about. It's something that I honestly feel. I don't have this thing where I feel I'm in competition. Yeah. I feel like I don't know. You
like me. You rooting for everybody, Black.
I'm just rooting for everybody. I don't know why. I just root for everybody.
No, I love that. Miles, cue up some My Body from LSG. As I said at the top of this show, it's rare to find somebody who's been in groups, multiple groups, and had hits with each. Had hits as a solo artist, but I want to hear some LSG. We're going to talk about that. Give it to me, Miles.
Wanna feel you up till your river flows all over me. Wanna feel your precious treasure wrapped around me so tightly. I wanna hear you shout. So come on, baby, let me break you off. I guarantee I'll turn you out.
So Eddie Levert was in that chair just a couple weeks ago. The same seat you were in now. Your Uncle Eddie, Papa Eddie. Papa Eddie was in that seat. We talked about Gerald. I miss Gerald every day.
Oh, my goodness.
I miss him dearly. You told us how the New Edition thing came to be. How did LSG come to be?
Gerald, my ride or die, that was my road dog. And, you know, Gerald and I used to do stupid things like, hey, I'm on a show with blah, blah, blah this week. And, yeah, they coming for me. And he'll go, what you doing? I'm like, I'm on my way. We would do this stuff. We just had this thing, and I'll go, hey, yo, I'm going to do a show, blah blah blah, and he's on that, and then and Gerald goes, I'm on my way. So we thought it was funny and fun. It was nothing, derogatory about it. It was just, we always thought it was like, okay, let's just go and just smash the house.
Yeah.
So,
nothing wrong with that.
But he was my brother and my road dog, and we've been knowing each other. We started in the business around the same time. I was 16 when I met Gerald, and we did the Cleveland Awards together, and we became like brothers, man, and for years. And one day he called me and said, hey, man, Keith's talking about he wants to be in a group. And I said, really? He was like, yeah. He says it was originally supposed to be him, Gerald, Keith, and R. Kelly.
Wow.
And Kel had pulled out.
Yeah.
And so Gerald was like, well, let's go and get Johnny. And Keith was like, okay. So that's how it actually ended up with the three of us.
That's why I love these backstories, man. Who knew?
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be LSK.
Yeah.
Levert, Sweat, and Kelly.
And Kelly, yeah.
But it turned out to be LSG.
Yeah.
And there's the hit.
And there's the hit.
God works in mysterious ways. Our guest is Johnny Gill. More with him when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Can you dig it? Come on!
If you missed our KBLA Talk 1580 Town Hall, the Altadena Eden Fire, 100 Days and Counting, you missed an evening of reverence, reflection, and reality.
You gotta live in the reality, because this is it. Every day, you wake up, is this my life? Don't stay in denial, because yes, it is. Don't stay in bargaining, where you're praying for a miracle, and if it wouldn't have happened, then this is what I would have done. It did.
Our panel participants kept it real. Really real.
I think, number one, it's amazing to me how we ignore systemic racism in our community, and as a people, we've apologized for so much, but when will we stop apologizing for what we have paid for? Because the truth of the matter is, we paid for this.
You can always count on KBLA Talk 1580 to give it to you straight, no chaser. When you love folk, you tell them the truth. Seeking the truth, speaking the truth. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone, and should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
The Comedy Connection series featuring KBLA's Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, and the alpha male of comedy, Ray Grady. We're going to transform relationship disasters into stand-up material live at Inglewood's Miracle Theater on May 31st at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. My clinical team will disclose all of your dating woes, while the alpha male of comedy, Ray Grady, has hand-selected supremely talented comedians to roast all of our tragic relationship choices. I dare you to bring your ex's phone number, because Ray, he's going to text it live, and the crowd will be sourcing emojis. Tickets are moving swiftly, so don't hesitate to grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before I diagnose your dating history as a pre-existing condition.
He's a paradigm pioneer and the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
precious my command. I work hard to feel your needs, give you a lesson on what it is to feel good, baby. Get undressed and slip on this road. Flags on, just sit back with breath of this thought. You feel the magic in my hands when I touch and rub you the right way.
So you have as much, maybe more than any artist I know, Johnny Gill, been able to seamlessly move between solo and group. Solo and group. We talked about New Edition. We talked about LSG. Obviously, your solo hits. How have you done that? Because some guys who are solo only want to be solo, and some folk who are in groups may dream of being solo.
Yeah,
but it never actually happens.
It never happens.
You've done both and done it both seamlessly. How have you done that?
Yeah, and then it's not solo for everybody. Too.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, like I was speaking on earlier, how I love people, and I come in with when I go into a group, understanding that's like a team. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah.
And knowing your role and knowing and accepting or committing to your role. I don't have to be the front guy. I don't have to be. So I'm one of those people that goes even when I join the group, then they ask and they say, well, you're not going to do any singing. I'm like, well, just whatever you guys need me to do. I'm just here as a team player, do whatever that is required.
Yeah.
And so when I'm doing that, even moving with working with other people, I don't come in going sticking my chest out, going, hey, I need to be the front center guy.
Yeah.
I'm going, what does it take to make this work?
Make it work. Yeah.
And
what when you look back on it, what was your role in LSG? What was your role as you see it in New Edition? Or is your role? Yeah.
My role in New Edition, I think, was to bring the audience with the group, because at one point they started feeling like the sound was just not. People were starting to move away from it and not feeling like it was a mature enough sound. And you know how sometimes people go, oh, that was, they're a kiddie group. And that was back,
You've always had a mature voice even when you were a kid.
Yeah.
When you listen to Perfect Combination, your voice was mature even then.
Even then,
yeah.
So I think what I did, and the reason why Jimmy and them was trying to figure out how to actually put me in this and figure out how to make that transition with bringing me in was because ultimately the ultimate goal was to go. We want to start making it feel mature, having a little more mature of a sound.
Yeah.
So that's what my role was
in New Edition and LSG.
And in LSG, it was just like what was the three tenors that did that? We kind of thought that it was
the
a
three tenors,
from that kind of concept. So it was just everybody had hits. Everyone was solo artists and had done their thing and had proven themselves. So it was just kind of like a thing that we just thought that concept worked.
I would think in a group like LSG, there really is no competition because everybody has already proven what they can do.
Yeah.
So what you fighting about?
Right.
You're just doing it.
Gerald and Keith used to go at it go toe to toe.
Yeah.
I had the best seat in the house to laugh and be in tears watching them going at it. Y'all back. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna be done to me like that. But I'm trying. Listen, let me tell you something. And I was just sitting here watching them going at it, and Gerald screaming to the top of his lungs. And then 5 minutes later, they both sitting over here having drinks together.
and the hits kept coming. I love it. I remember moments with Johnny Gill when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project. Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do you do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Nationwide is so much more than a great insurance company. They're one of America's largest financial services companies. Like how I'm more than Saquon Barkley, the NFL's reigning leading rusher. I'm also the NFL's leading husher. Shh, hush up back there. Wow, I might have just set the hushing record. Well, almost. For your insurance and financial needs, Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Investment Services Corporation, member FINRA, Columbus, Ohio.
Freedom is an endless meeting, so let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
I don't love her. I try to tell myself, but you can see it in my eyes.
So I was asking Johnny what song he really loves to do with New Edition on stage, because earlier we learned in this conversation that he was not crazy about Boys to Men, that he sang that song angry, but it worked. So I don't want you to leave here angry upon reflection of how that song came to be. I want to end on a happy note, a joyful note. So this one you said you love doing. Tell me why you love this track so much.
I love this song and I love this track because this was my very first song and performance with the group. After all the rehearsals, after all of the doubt or worrying about whether I could fit in with this group, this video was our very first performance together. And even when we do it in concert, the choreography to this is just second to none. It's just undeniable. And I love doing it. I never get tired of doing this.
Give me some more, Miles. A little bit more.
Oh, she got to me. I'll let you know the reason. I saw her with another guy. So if it is love,
I can see the choreography in my head. Of course, I just saw you do this a few weeks ago. Last night, you heard me say that was an amazing show, man.
Yeah.
Were you guys all pleased with the residency?
With it?
Yeah.
All sold out shows, which was so fun.
Yeah.
It was beautiful for a year.
For a year.
We did a year.
Sold out shows for a year.
Yeah.
That's New Edition for you and all of y'all. I got 90 seconds left. I know you must be, well, you're in the studio right now. You're here.
Yeah.
You're in my studio. Yeah. But I know you're in your studio working on some new stuff?
Yeah, I'm actually going to the DMV, and then I'm leaving from there to go to meet Terry Lewis, Jimmy and Terry, because I'm heading out. I'm working with them this evening.
Right.
In the studio recording. So
wow.
I've been just getting working on the new album. And trying to. I know people don't do albums anymore, but I'm still from the old school.
Yeah.
But the songs are not old school, though.
There you go. I love it. I love it. Well, if you're in the studio working on something, I can't wait to hear that. You have any sense as yet what the album is going to sound like? Sonically,
I'm just doing R&B, but I'm just trying to make sure that it stays in the middle of the road when we listen to the radio today.
Right.
Those songs meet that level of standard.
Yeah.
But I don't change anything besides, more than anything, it's about the I try to make sure sonically it's where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Song-wise, you can take any song, and if you can do what you need to do, meet it sonically and where it sounds current.
Yeah.
People don't sit and try to figure out how to dissect the song. Why is it sounding? Oh, but it sounds new.
If it makes them feel good, that's the trick, right?
Yeah.
And if they can situate their stuff in the humanity of your lyricism, that works as well.
Yeah.
What a great hour! I'm glad you made it in safely.
Yes.
Safe travels to New York.
Thank you.
Have a good time in the studio, and when the new project drops, come back and see me again.
Oh, you know I'm coming here first.
I love you, and there ain't nothing you can do about it. I just love you.
Oh, I love you too, man.
That's my friend and my brother Johnny Gill. What a great hour, celebrating an amazing career ongoing. 3 hours gone. Back here tomorrow. No, tomorrow's Friday, so tomorrow's the best of Tavis Smiley. Some tough choices to make this week. 3 great hours, so many to choose from. Until tomorrow, thanks for tuning in to Tavis Smiley, and as always, keep the faith.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Tensions flared outside of a Grand Rapids, Michigan courthouse as protesters clashed during jury deliberations in the trial of ex-officer Christopher Shore, charged with killing a black man, Patrick Luoya.
I think that they are really weighing the options and the facts, and I really, truly hope that they come up with something soon.
The jury is deadlocked, but was told to keep trying. One person was arrested. Jurors are in deliberations today in the Tyre Nichols murder trial. 3 former Memphis officers are charged with beating him to death back in 2020.